BJP and its allies, in particular the Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena. As you all know, viewers, Eknath Shinde is the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He became the Chief Minister after the Uddhav Thackerays Shiv Sena split, and a number of MLAs expressed their interest to join Eknath Shinde in an alliance with the BJP to form the government in Maharashtra. Uddhav Thackeray, smarting from the Election Commission's decision to take away the name and symbol of the Shiv Sena from him, openly called for the disbanding of the poll panel. This is, of course, only the latest instance in a growing trend. In the past, when the opposition has not had election results go their way, they have often suggested that the Election Commission has rigged EVMs to favor the BJP. The courts, viewers, not even the Supreme Court, have been spared either. When judgments haven't gone the opposition's way on the back of policy decisions or emotive issues, the opposition and the ecosystem sympathetic to it has accused justices of favoritism, of harboring some sort of ideological bias. You'll all remember, viewers, the Ayodhya judgment. In the Ayodhya judgment, even though a 5-judge bench unilaterally and with total cohesion ruled in favor of the Hindu side and granted the Ram Janam Bhoomi to the Nyas, viewers, a large number of opposition parties came out and said very clearly that this was a black day, that the judiciary had also now sprouted Hindutva feathers. Viewers, coming back to the Election Commission, Uddhav may have launched an intemperate attack on the Election Commission, but the Supreme Court hasn't backed him. Uddhav's lawyer, Kapil Sibal, had vehemently argued for a stay on the Election Commission's order. The Supreme Court bench, led by the Chief Justice of India, has now issued a notice and, viewers, not issued an immediate stay, saying that there are prima facie no grounds to do so, at least as of now. Of course, viewers, the notice will be heard, the notice will be replied to, and it will be replied to by both the Shiv Sena as well as the Shinde faction. This matter will go on, but prima facie, the Supreme Court has not sided with the Uddhav Thackere faction's demand for a stay on the right of Uddhav's nemesis Eknath Shinde to use the bow and arrow symbol of the Shiv Sena, or even occupy the offices of the Shiv Sena in the State Assembly or the Parliament. Viewers, first listen in to these reactions as they have been coming in.
माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने जो हमारे दूसरे गुट है उन्होंने जो मांग की थी कि माननीय निवडणूक जो इलेक्शन कमीशन है उन्होंने जो निर्णय दिया वो निर्णय के ऊपर स्टे की मांग की थी, लेकिन माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने उनकी मांग खारिज की और वो मान्य नहीं किया। और कौन सा भी स्टे इलेक्शन कमीशन ने जो निर्णय दिया उसके ऊपर कौन सा भी अभी स्टे नहीं है, और 2 हफ्ते में उनकी जो बातें वो सबमिट करने के लिए कोर्ट ने आदेश दिया। माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने बहुत ही क्लियर कहा कि हम पूरे आपके डिमांड को स्टे नहीं दे सकते, तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ने जो निर्णय लिया उस हिसाब से पार्टी के इंटरनल प्रोसेस वो लोग कर सकते हैं।
आई डोंट थिंक द जस्टिस विल बी डिनाइड टू अस। लेट अस वेट नाउ। Honorable Uddhavji Thackere has given a letter to Eknath Shinde that he should be the leader of the party, and Sunil Prabhu will be the whip of the party. Now, Election Commission has not at all considered. They only, in fact, force us to submit the membership forms, which we, to the tune of 20 lakh we have submitted. We have challenged the decision to the Supreme Court. Luckily, Supreme Court has given a decision that they have kept the case pending.
Given this, Uddhav Thackere in the interim can't retain the Shiv Sena symbol or even the offices in the Legislative Assembly and Parliament. More than that, Uddhav Thackere could end up losing bank accounts linked to the Shiv Sena and also the iconic Sena Bhavan in Mumbai. The BJP hailed the Supreme Court interim order as a vindication for democracy and a reminder to diners that they don't have an automatic claim over their party. Indeed, viewers, while the matter will be heard in the Supreme Court over the next few weeks, the question remains, did Uddhav Thackere forget that the party doesn't represent the interests of the Thackere Parivar, but is actually a platform or a vehicle for the public's aspirations? We are joined by Sajid Supariwala, Shiv Sena leader from the Uddhav Thackere camp. Now, Mr. Supariwala, I have a basic question for you this evening. I know that this matter will be heard, but we know from your lawyers that they were hoping for immediate relief, for an interim stay, and they said that they deserved one because the Election Commission had committed certain improprieties. Now that hasn't happened. Can we say then, Mr. Supariwala, it's a very direct question, that Uddhav Thackere forgot that the party is not the Thackere clan's heirloom. It belongs fundamentally to the voters, to workers, and most importantly, to those who represent their aspirations?
I would like to reply to your queries and whatever you have told, definitely. First and foremost, I would like to tell you, Mr. Rahul, that Constitution is the most important factor of our country. And when you play with the Constitution, things definitely go wrong. There are a lot of things happening in this country where democracy is being really in a soup. I may call it a soup. It is a mess right now of democracy. It is a misuse of Constitution and democracy. A very sad moment at this time, but we have not lost faith in the judiciary yet. And there is still, I think they have given I know last is about the Supreme Court, that there are 2 weeks still to be given to be taking a decision on the symbol and the name of the party. If I'm not wrong, you may check your facts. So it is too soon and too early to come to a conclusion that we have not got justice. I'm sure that justice will prevail and the right one will definitely rise above. There are difficult times, and as they say, that as the going gets tough, the tough get going. So definitely, we as Shiv Senics are definitely waiting for the right time, and inshallah we'll definitely rise up again. And these things are too soon to talk about right now.
It's very
simple. As of now.
It's very simple, sir.
Yeah.
If there was such a travesty committed by the Election Commission, it would have immediately either been righted or the action of the Election Commission would have been immediately stayed. After all, it would have been derogatory, sir, to the interests of Mr. Uddhav Thackere, who is not just losing the name of the party, the symbol of the party, but also the physical assets of the party, sir. You haven't got a relief. Had you got a relief, what would you have said? You would have said the opposite, that this is a moral victory for us.
I'm coming to it. Definitely the winning party always speaks more. But as of now, we have not lost faith or hope. We are very much with the strength, and we are very much, our party leader is definitely and was there and is going to be Mr. Uddhav Balasaheb Thackere. Only reason being, Balasaheb Thackeray's last words were that after there might be a split in the party later on, but you have to follow my son Uddhav Balasaheb Thackere because he is righteously definitely he is here not only as the father, the son of that father, but also because he is worth it. And the patience which he has shown, the strength which he has shown, the faith which he has shown is proving this in these difficult times also. We have not lost hope.
So I'm glad you admitted. I'm glad you admitted that he is a biological heir of Mr. Thackere and therefore deserves to inherit the throne. And secondly, because he is deserving because of the actions.
Rahul, I'll forget my point, please, Mr. Rahul, please. Let me speak. What I was coming to was the patience which he has shown, the strength which he has shown. He's not told any of the Shiv Senics to go haywire. He said, I have the faith in the judiciary. As you know, Shiv Senics would have been coming on road if Mr. Uddhav Balasaheb Thackere had not controlled them by his proper understanding of the judiciary, by his maturity and by his patience.
Okay.
So we all are very patient.
So the lack Sajid Supariwala, let's get this right. The lack of consternation on part of the Shiv Senics is not because they agree with the election commission. It is because Uddhav Thackere has not allowed them to remonstrate against the election commission.
1 minute. I beg to differ.
No, 1 second. Okay, you said a lot. Look, I've let you have.
Rahul, I beg to differ. Rahul, I beg to differ. What I was trying to tell you is not, we are not saying that we'll come out on the roads, but definitely we have been emotionally hurt because a symbol of the party who has been established by Balasaheb Thackere, Prabodhan Ji Thackere, and now somebody else is claiming on that only because of the 40 MLAs taken, and that is not the right way. This is not a democratic way. This has been this is like a theft. It has been a theft of the symbol. It is not rightfully taken. Now the Supreme Court will decide the matter. That is another secondary thing. Okay. But as of now, on moral terms, any Maharashtrian...
Let me just read out what the Election Commission has said. Okay, Mr. Supariwala, you're repeating yourself. Okay, just 2 minutes. Okay. In the absence of such democratic internal structures, internal disputes are bound to create rifts and factions leading to the determination of the question by the Election Commission under the Symbols Order. However, by the time a dispute comes to the Commission, the party constitutions are often seen to have been mutilated to undemocratically appoint people from a coterie as office bearers without any election at all. Such party structures fail to inspire confidence of the Commission, and the Commission is forced to ignore the numerical strength of opposing factions in the organizational wing altogether, despite being conscious of its importance and role as the building block of the party. This seemingly unjust situation is often a creation of the party itself, which failed to create a robust constitution that provides for democratic structures within the party and also protect the constitution when it was amended to allow undemocratic methods of appointments. So it is very, very clear. It is very, very clear that the Election Commission based its order on the fact that there was no internal party democracy. You treated it like a fief because you believe that you're at the head of some sort of hereditary monarchy. Okay, let me just, one second, we've dealt with you. Now 1 minute, let the others also come in. Ho gaya, sir. Don't be so self-important, please. Shazia Ilmi.
Which you yourself said. You yourself said something, I want to repeat that and elaborate on it. Can I just tell you a point?
Go ahead.
If I'm allowed.
Go ahead.
Can I make a point?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Now, suddenly, this Shinde camp has suddenly decided that it has been undemocratic, or it can be like...
It's the Election Commission, not the Shinde camp, sir. It's the Election Commission.
I'm coming to it. Just let me finish. No, please let me finish my sentence. Maybe I'm right or wrong. You can prove later on. What I'm saying is now they realized after 10, 12 years or after so many years of Bala Saheb's demise, when Uddhav Saheb had been chosen as the party chief, that time why nobody objected to the point? When Raj Thackere went away from the party, why didn't anybody object at that time? Now they are remembering it after 10 years that Uddhav Thackere ji has been because of the son of Bala Saheb Thackere. Now they realize. That time they could not realize that. I have a question.
Maybe they respected Balasaheb Thackere and they don't respect Uddhav Thackere. Maybe that's the answer. Let me just bring in Shazia Elmi. Shazia Elmi, let me ask you. The Shiv Sena today says, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There is a lot left in this entire matter. The Supreme Court is going to be hearing this matter further. There is no need for you to come out and suggest that the party is not Uddhav's heirloom and therefore be derogatory towards the Thackerays. Simple question.
So, first of all, I would like to say, Rahul, that I'm reminded of the divine right of kings. You know that, and sadly, nothing like that exists. So while in our constitution, in our polity, and in our democracy, so while Mr. Sajid Supariwala talks lawfully about the constitution and propriety and theft, so to speak, he doesn't even realize something very basic, that a party, when the ranks and the file and the members really have broken off with the son of the originator of the party, so to speak, somebody who created it, creator of the party, and that it is not about the law of dynastic succession, but it has something to do with who commands the respect and and has the numbers. So the party cannot be a fiefdom of the Thackere clan. And our Prime Minister has often spoken about Parivarvad and Bhrashtachar, so corruption and dynastic succession. Similarly here, while Uddhav Thackere has said very undesirable things about the Election Commission, even invoking of disbanding it, talking about that, would he talk about the Supreme Court being disbanded now too? So I think I think there was a shocker that we heard from Uddhav Thackere ji.
So okay, let me open this up.
There's a limit to which.
Okay, let me open this up. Let me bring in.
I'm very glad that the word of Election Commission has prevailed, and Supreme Court is mentioning terms like heirloom, the constitutional and the electoral rights of a party, and the democracy within a party.
BJP is doing the same thing.
Okay, let me just quickly bring in Tehseen Poonawalla. Okay, 1 second, Mr. Supariwala, 1 second, Miss Ilmi. You have invoked the divine rights of kings to rule. I want you to pay attention, Tehseen Poonawalla, to what the Supreme Court itself has said in the past, and of course, most importantly, viewers, what our Constitution says. It says the test of confidence is always determined on the floor of the assembly. That's where the matter was decided. It's quite clear that these individuals, Mr. Poonawalla, led by Eknath Shinde, decided to vote according to their conscience in a free and fair manner on the floor of the assembly, floor of the house. This party split then, and it split decisively. Mr. Uddhav Thackere was left with the rump end of the Shiv Sena. And he does still believe that he commands the right, because it is his birthright to hang on to the symbols, the offices and other important markers of the Shiv Sena. Isn't this a clear message today to all dynasts, including those in the Congress and others? You're on mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Rahul. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. I'll answer your question in the second part. Just one quick point to it. Number one, the Supreme Court and the Election Commission, and you read out their order. This is the 1999 amendment, which when Lal Thackere Sahab was alive, they said was unconstitutional. Therefore, the 2012 amendment, and then subsequently the 2018 amendment. Now, I find it strange, Rahul. I don't know if Sanjay does, because Ishkaran and Gaurav are very good with law. I find it strange that this amendment in 2018, the most honorable election commission in 2023 finds it illegal. Eknath Shinde, who was a part of that amendment, did not know an amendment happened in 2018. And in 2019, when Uddhav Thackere became chief minister, 2020, whenever he became chief minister, the election commission didn't know about it. When he became an MLC, they didn't know about it. It's only in 2023 they realized. And what do they realize? The election commission realizes the substance of their order is that Uddhav Thackere in 2018 becomes the Shiv Sena Pramukh. He's elected by a body which he's appointed, which then goes on to make him the Pramukh. Fair enough, that's undemocratic, I agree. But then how does the Bharatiya Janata Party have JP Nadda as its president when he changes the parliamentary committee, removes Gadkari ji, removes Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, gets in Yadurappa ji, and the same parliamentary committee then makes him president? So for BJP it's all right, for Shiv Sena it's not all right, and the election commission realizes this in 2023 till 2023 they didn't realize this. Neither did they realize the 2012 amendment. All right. Even if I were to give you, let me answer your question specifically. There is no split in the Shiv Sena. Eknath Shinde himself says he is the real Shiv Sena. The Shiv Sena hasn't split. If the Shiv Sena hasn't split, what is the question before the most honorable Supreme Court? The whip applied. Whose whip applied? They have applied the whip or the whip in charge or the assembly in charge of that particular day, which was from the Uddhav Thackere camp, which Eknath Shinde and his MLAs violated. If they have violated that whip on that day, they should be suspended. Whether they have a majority on the floor of the House comes only after the fact, whether they are allowed to vote that day. And unfortunately, they were allowed to vote, but they violated the whip, and therefore disqualification should come in. And that is precisely what the 7-judge bench is hearing. So in my opinion, while Eknath Shinde ji may have got a temporary victory, it's only a temporary victory. A notice has been issued. In the long run, justice will prevail and Uddhav Thackere ji will continue to be the head until such time legally Eknath Shinde can call a meeting, change the whip, change the speaker and then vote.
Ishkan Bhandari has raised his hand. Yes, respond.
Rahul, it's very amusing on the lighter side that Congress members of parliament are arguing for Shiv Sena in the Supreme Court and a Congress person is arguing for Shiv Sena on your panel also. But let us deal with it factually. If the EC order was so egregious, the Supreme Court would have given a stay. If Shiv Sena had gotten a stay, they would have come and said EC is the instrument of BJP, and that is why the Supreme Court prima facie has given a stay. The very fact they did not get a stay shows that there is enough solid grounding in the EC order for the court not to give interim relief, even though not giving interim relief will cause a lot of loss to the Uddhav Thackere faction. So if the loss is there are various factors of interim relief. The Supreme Court did not give it. That is very clear. So what has happened is EC order is on solid foundation, at least prima facie, which is what we are debating. Now let us come to what somebody from the Shiv Sena said. It is obvious, but it needs to be said, in a democracy there is no kingship, there is no anointment of a leader. Just because you are one removed from the throne or two removed from the throne or three removed from the throne, it's the people of India who decide. And increasingly, if you see, at least in North India, it is becoming very difficult to become chief ministers or the top position if you are a dynast. And that is a very healthy trend for democracy. It may not be a healthy trend for people who support Congress. And Warren Buffett's concept of winning the ovarian lottery might operate on private property. It will not operate in democracies where people will not be elected based on whose son they are or whose daughter they are. And lastly, one very simple point which needs to be made here. If Uddhav Thackere and 40 MLAs elected by the people of Maharashtra do not want to be under the leadership of Uddhav Thackere, he should have himself said that no, it is not fitting. I will face the next election. I will make people win on my party symbol and then claim to be a chief minister, not try to hang on by his fingernails because the courts are refusing him relief and the people have also decided to give their decision, which will come very soon in BMC.
Sanjay Jha, the Congress party itself saw a massive split in the 60s. You might remember that. The Congress O was born, and then of course you had the Congress R that Indira Gandhi led to famous victory. She didn't weep over the loss of a symbol, even though she was a dynast. Here it appears that Uddhav Thackere thinks, as his own party man has said tonight, Mr. Supariwala, that one of the reasons is that he is Bal Thackeray's legal heir and therefore must accede to the throne. Obviously, one second please. I'm bringing in Sanjay Jha. Let him also speak, please. And there's Karan also. He needs to also come in. Sanjay Jha, just very quickly. Today the Supreme Court has delivered a body blow to dynastism and has actually saved a political party from becoming an extension of the Parivar, the Thackere clan. Simple as that. Would you disagree with me?
Rahul, my 2 cents of wisdom on the subject. Number one, there are more dynasts in the BJP than there are in other parties, and definitely even the Congress has fewer dynastic people than the BJP has. It's a different issue that the Gandhi family is more politically well known and get targeted, but if you look at the number of dynasts, it's legendary. The second point is more critical to me. Why are we not discussing the elephant in the room? My friend Ishkaran, talked about protecting democracy, but I'll tell you where I hang my head in shame. That today we are endorsing the most vulgar exhibition and manifestation of political immorality, which is called Operation Lotus, Amit Shah's major operation to hijack and buy MLAs. And I consider, and I've written about it, that why doesn't the BJP have an MLA stock exchange so that people can buy and trade, do a forward, maybe, even some stock valuations might change. Mr. Amit Shah should do that. I can tell you, if the BJP does an IPO for the MLA stock exchange, it will be oversubscribed by the Bhakt, etc. And this is a shame, Rahul. I want to tell you why. That's the difference between the splits in the Congress and what has happened in the Shiv Sena. You and I both know it was a surreptitious operation. People were hijacked. Can you imagine?
Sir, this has got nothing to do with the issue at hand. We are talking about the Supreme Court hearing the issue of a symbol being accorded and awarded to the nemesis of Mr. Uddhav Thackere, who not only split the party but is today the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Can you answer that instead of talking about this, that, the other? And if you are insisting on talking about this, that, the other, namely the undemocratic means employed by the BJP, can you tell me how many times Indira Gandhi relied upon Article 356, sir?
Yeah. Can I answer your question?
No, just answer this question. How many times did Indira Gandhi rely upon Article 356 to dismiss elected governments from office? Can you tell me the number?
Well, let me answer. Well, you know something, the opposition has every right in any democracy to challenge anything which is done which is unconstitutional.
How many times, sir, Article 356 by Indira Gandhi?
Please let us not divert from Operation Lotus, and I want...
Sir, you are the one who brought it up, saying that... One second, I'm only asking you, sir, how many times, since you made the point that this was the most egregious assault on democratic practice, Operation Lotus, etc., that you claim is an underhand activity, I'm only asking you, how many times did the Congress rely upon Article 356?
Well, here is the answer. We are discussing apples and oranges here. I will give you an answer to that question. But there was no buyout of MLAs here.
Sir, I'm asking you, you sacked an entire government using a governor's office. Yes or no? How many times has Article 356 been used by the Modi government? 0 times.
I'm talking about the way the BJP has corroded India's politics.
Are you serious, Sanjay Jha? Okay, let me bring in Karan. Let me bring in Karan Verma.
90 times. Can I just come out?
Yeah, okay. Shazia Almi wants to respond as a BJP to...
of the states 90 times.
Indian politics.
Okay.
They have actually damaged...
Okay, they have damaged Indian politics, but you haven't answered my question.
Yes, and Indira
You
Gandhi,
use the governor's office to sack elected governments that were stable. Why? Sanjay Jha, why? Tell me why. And how is that upholding democracy?
India even more in the way they have taken over government in India.
Okay.
I will tell you that.
Now let me tell you, viewers, since Sanjay Jha has brought it down, and this is one basic question. If there was an attempt at a hijack, what about the fact that a mandate that was for the BJP and the Shiv Sena in 2019 as one alliance was essentially ignored, with the Sena joining hands with the NCP and the Congress?
Well, the Sena accused the BJP of trying to break...
It's not about that. I'm simply asking you this question. Simply asking you a question, sir. Simply asking you a question. If the mandate has to be... Sir, in the interest of upholding...
Can that justify buying out MLAs? Just tell me that.
Can I answer?
How can you say anyone was bought out? Where's the proof?
What? People are buying out MLAs.
Where's the proof? Where's the proof? I mean, people don't have the right to cross a floor anymore. Okay, let me bring in Karan Verma. Shazia Ilmi wants to come in. She said that Article 356 was used about 90 times. Okay, Karan Verma, respond to Sanjay Jha, Mr. Tehseen Poonawala today, as well as, of course, Mr. Supariwala.
Let me just
Let's answer on Operation Lotus today. That is the central.
Let me just expose Sanjay Jha and Tehseen's hypocrisy in a minute, Rahul. Just give me some time. You know, the Election Commission 78-page order, first of all, it's a very well thought out order and it's a hallmark of a mature democracy. What does it quote? It quotes the Sadiq Ali case in 1971. The same Sadiq Ali case in 1971 where the Congress had split and Indira Gandhi had got the symbol. At that time, the Congress hailed it. It was challenged further in the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court upheld the EC's precedent, which was based on numerical superiority. Can you imagine? The same Congress party at that time, Sanjay Jha would have hailed that order because it was based on numerical majority and it suited the Congress party. Today, when the EC quotes that, and it is very much in consonance with the 1968 Symbols Act, their hypocrisy is exposed. Now they don't want numerical superiority to be a criteria. And Mr. Supariwala, who was giving these sermons in democracy, let me tell you what the EC has said about your constitution, your amendment in 2018. The EC says, and I am quoting, when a party's constitution turns its functionaries into puppets, controlled by a leader with unabridged powers, the path only leads to degradation in democratic governance of the country. So you in the first place had an undemocratic Constitution, the amendment of 2018, and Tehseen asked how did they not come to know in 2019? The EC has said that the constitution, the revised constitution of the party was not even submitted. It was not even submitted, so how could the EC have commented on that back then? So I hope I have answered these questions.
Okay, factual interventions. Tehseen Poonawalla, you want to respond? Factual interventions.
Yes, please.
And he's nailed
Karan
you. He has completely exposed.
He's not. No, he's not. Karan is a fantastic author, fantastic spokesperson on TV, but he's made two factual errors. At the time of Mrs. Indira Gandhi's split, Karan, number one, the 10th schedule of the Constitution, the anti-defection law did not exist. That whip was violated by Eknath Shinde. You were making a fundamental mistake. That is the argument before the Constitutional Bench. Number two, my friend, the rank and file of the Congress party, as Karan, just 10 seconds. The rank and file of the Congress party was with Mrs. Gandhi, as is the rank and file with Mr. Uddhav Thackerays. The Election Commission did not deem it necessary to look at the Karyakartas who were there the majority with. The legislative number in this case is an erroneous number because Eknath Shinde does not call it a split. Mrs. Gandhi called it a split. She said I split. Eknath Shinde's claim is I am Shiv Sena. He is Shiv Sena. How did he violate the whip? That is the question, sir. It's a constitutional question. Therefore, your argument brilliant, but is factually wrong, sir.
And can someone tell me who hijacked MLAs to Gujarat, to Assam, and to Goa? I mean, what kind of parts did the BJP do?
That is what I'm coming to.
Like a mafia operation.
Oh my God, that is the first elected government of Kerala or in Tamil Nadu or even Sharad Pawar's government in 1980. All these governments were actually illegally toppled by the Congress party. Indira Gandhi herself has used Article 356.
Sanjay Jha. The Congress party committed. No, hang on. The Congress party committed ideological harakiri. The Congress party committed ideological harakiri by signing up with the Shiv Sena to form a government. Can you believe it, viewers? A party. Let me tell you a little bit about the Shiv Sena. A party, no, hang on. A party, no, one second. A party that was taken to court by the Congress in the past, and the leader that they are today rallying around, Bal Thackeray and his legacy, viewers. These people, the Congress party took Bal Thackeray to court for using offensive words against Muslims in campaigns. This party supported, this party, the Congress party, supports Uddhav Thackere, who champions the cause of Veer Savarkar that Rahul Gandhi calls the biggest coward and the most bigoted person in this country. Sanjay Jha, explain that. What was that if not Operation Hocus Pocus?
Well, simple answer, Rahul. The BJP is a danger to India's constitutional democracy.
Oh, I see. So you go and embrace... So you embrace the party... No, one second. This is very interesting. BJP... Okay, one second. Why is the BJP a danger? 1 second. Why is the BJP a danger?
No, it's your word against
But we
mine.
need to put out the laundry list of
I can't hear you.
how they have destroyed India's institutions.
No, what? Why is it a danger? Because it promotes, according to you, Hindutva, which is corroding India's social fabric. Viewers, if that is the objection, what were they doing allying with the Shiv Sena that, viewers, believes in a narrow parochial politics? The Uddhav Thackerays Shiv Sena and its predecessor, the Bal Thackere Shiv Sena, beat up North Indians from the same state as Sanjay Jha belongs to,
Correct.
living in Mumbai, beat them up, said get out of here, came up with a very, very, very discriminatory and derogative slogan about lungis. And think about who they were referring to, viewers. This is the history of the Shiv Sena. And you tied up with this vitriolic party that you have described as a vitriolic party. Sanjay Jha, who is breaking the nation? Kaun jod raha hai, kaun tod raha hai?
Today, the Uddhav Thackere faction of the Shiv Sena represents an Hindutva that is inclusive and not a divisive.
Oh, I see. So okay. So 1 minute. Inclusive Hindutva. Let me ask you. You are pursuing an inclusive Hindutva, Supariwala ji. Do you back the Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar? Yes or no?
See, this is not a question.
Do you back it?
Now,
yes or no?
We are talking about
do
right
you
now.
back? No. Do you back a Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar?
See,
yes or no?
If my party chief says that what is right, what is wrong, we call a spade a spade.
What is the spade here? Does he deserve a Bharat Ratna? Yes or no?
Ever. 1 minute.
Does he deserve a Bharat Ratna? Does he deserve a Bharat Ratna?
Let me complete the sentence. Let me answer your question.
You're not going to answer my question.
No, 1 minute. I'm answering. If my party chief thinks what is right because I know that he has that political maturity to understand what he has been saying.
Okay.
So I stand by what my party chief says.
So Supariwala Sahab, मेरा सवाल simple था. Maybe you didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Does Uddhav Thackere back the Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar? Simple question.
The facts you already have those facts.
What are those facts? Can you tell me? Can you tell Sanjay Jha?
Tell me to repeat that.
Can you tell? What is it?
Bharat Ratna or anything is to be decided by the top people in the government. I am not an authority to tell you this.
Mr. Supariwala, why are you running away from the facts?
I am not running away from anything.
I'm asking you, do you back Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar? Yes or no?
This is not the question I should be answering.
I'll tell you, the last time, Siddharth is going to tell me right now, when the last time Uddhav Thackere backed the Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar, and then I will bring in Sanjay Jha to talk about the inclusive, new, improved version of Uddhav Thackere. I will tell you. Siddharth, can you please tell me? Okay, I'm waiting on that. Siddharth is going to tell me. He is going to tell me exactly the last time when Uddhav Thackere championed the cause, or his party championed the cause for a Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar. The same Veer Savarkar that the Congress party says is the ideological fountainhead of the entire saffron parivar, including the BJP, who wants to turn India into a Hindu Pakistan. And the moment I am told, can you tell me? Okay. November 2022, Sanjay Raut backed the Bharat Ratna for Mr. Veer Savarkar, and Uddhav Thackere did so in March 2021 when he was in alliance with Sanjay Jha's Congress party. now, sir, was that inclusive enough for you? So you also now back the Bharat Ratna for Veer Savarkar, yes or no? Simple. Does the Congress party back Veer Savarkar's Bharat Ratna, yes or no?
Okay, now let me answer you, Rahul. पहले तो यह प्रश्न आप भाजपा को पूछे 9 साल
हो गए प्लीज कैन यू जस्ट आंसर द क्वेश्चन आपका तो पूरा नो प्लीज आई एम आस्किंग यू जस्ट कम आउट एंड टेल मी डू यू बैक द भारत रत्ना फॉर वीर सावरकर लाइक मिस्टर उद्धव ठाकरे द इंप्रूव्ड Mark II version of Uddhav Thackere does? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, so viewers, here it is. The proof of the pudding is in its eating. Both Supariwala and Jha are not willing to come out and make clear their stand on an issue, but they're giving each other certificates. That tells you something. I need to move on, viewers. I need to move on. There is a story that we must all talk about. Viewers, 2 alleged cattle smugglers were kidnapped from Rajasthan, beaten and then set alight a week ago. The bodies were recovered from Rajasthan. The finger of suspicion immediately fell upon local gaurakshaks. The main accused, Monu Manesar, was able to furnish an alibi. While he was a criminal record he has a criminal record, it turned out that he was being framed by the leader of another Gaurakshak gang as they jostled amongst themselves for supremacy, viewers. The Rajasthan police has told Times Now that the alleged smugglers were killed to implicate Manesar so that the rival gang could emerge as the sole defender of Hindu interests in this particular area. Listen first to the police.
Are these both rival gang members, sir? Because what I got to know from Haryana, that they were part of a different group.
There are no rival gangs or these terms carry different connotations, therefore I will not use those terms. I still haven't researched enough if they are gangs or whatever, but in this particular incident, some of them were residents or people from the Mewat area, and there were certain people who had come from other districts of Haryana, which if you have got those details, you will find that there are people from Jeend, Bhiwani, Karnal.
FIRs available with Times Now suggest that Haryana police has come to rely heavily on these auxiliaries to bolster efforts to crack down on cow smuggling. The interdependence is emboldening the Gaurakshaks, who are known to sometimes even police the streets and dispense a crude, instant spot justice. Of late, a Mahapanchayat was called in the area, and the VHP also issued threats to the Rajasthan police, warning them against taking action that could lead to wrongful arrests. The opposition says the threat was issued to stymie investigations.
हमारे कार्यकर्ता गौरक्षक हैं, हत्यारे नहीं हैं। एक एजेंडे के तहत राजस्थान की पुलिस आती है, फिल्मी स्क्रिप्ट लिखी जाती है, बिना किसी सबूत के गिरफ्तारी शुरू कर देती है। अब एफआईआर दर्ज हो चुकी है राजस्थान पुलिस पर। यह सिद्ध हो चुका है राजस्थान की पुलिस हत्यारी है, तालिबान तरीके से काम कर रही है, अपने आकाओं को खुश करने के लिए कर रही है। किसी भी हालत में किसी निरपराध व्यक्ति पर हाथ नहीं डालने दिया जाएगा, ये संकल्प आज की रैली में लिया जाएगा।
And always the criminals are belonging to the Sangh Parivar. So it is becoming a pattern. This type of, I tell what you will tell, anti-democratic, intolerant regime now it is going on. So this type of thing we are not surprised.
This case is has a very strong background in this. Why don't you just catch those culprits and put them behind bars? That's about it. Now a Mahapanchayat or Khap Panchayat are not the law. They are not police. They are not the court. They are not anything. If the police in Haryana wants to stop this, wants to arrest somebody, they should do it. They should go ahead.
जो लोग निर्दोषों की हत्या करते हैं, इन 2 युवकों को जो मामला आया है, उनकी हत्या करने वाला देश राष्ट्रवादी नहीं हो सकता। वो भी कातिल है, जो हमारी गौ माता को तकलीफ पहुंचाता है वो भी कातिल है। और ये जो भी शख्स है, अब तो आईओ के बयान सामने आ गए हैं, ये वहां पे शामिल था, सबूत न बचे उसके लिए जला दिया गया। तो हम ये कह रहे हैं कि जो लॉ ऑफ द लैंड है वो कब काम करेगा, और एक क्रिमिनल जो खुल के बंदूक असलहे लहराता है, उसको राजस्थान की सरकार कब तक बख्शेगी?
The unfortunate murders prompt us to ask a basic question. Has state patronage to Gaurakshaks emboldened them to take the law into their own hands? Viewers, let's open this up for discussion. The basic question has been posed. Vinod Bansalji, the national spokesperson of the VHP, is with us. Tehseen Poonawala stays with us. Sabir Siddharth Ghaffar, President All India Minority Council, also with us. Now, Vinodji, my question to you is straightforward. Obviously, this crime, at least from what it now appears, given the fact that Rajasthan police itself has called it a gang rivalry, is less to do with communalism and more to do with a competition between Gaurakshaks. Now, sir, I want to ask you, should vigilante groups be allowed such a free run in a democracy? Are they now becoming so emboldened that they have begun to cross the line and take the law into their own hands, sir?
No, in this particular case, Rahul, nobody can say that we have crossed the limit. The thing is that the goat slaughters, the cow smugglers are also crossing the limit. They are crossing the limit since ages. And you know, even after the stringent law applicable in the state, they are not afraid of the situation, then what will happen against it actually. And you see so many security forces the police jawans has already been killed, and so many Gaurakshaks has been killed. Why? The person who has come to save the life of an animal, how can you think over to say that he can kill a person? No. This is not in our DNA. But you see, in this particular case, the way the Rajasthan police is taking the matter in a political way, and these competing with the Gaurakshaks, the way in Nagina they verge into the house and kill the person, kill a child in bomb. आप देखिए कि कितना मतलब एक घृणित चेहरा है. क्या ये पुलिस का काम हो सकता है राहुल जी कि नगीना के अंदर जाकर के बिना हरियाणा पुलिस की परमिशन के एक गर्भवती महिला के पेट में लात मार करके उसके बच्चे को मार दोगे? वो गर्भवती महिला आज जिंदगी मौत के से जूझ रही है और राजस्थान सरकार चुप रहेगी उस पर लेकर के. और एक बात ये देखिए, ये वो लोग हैं जो कि कमर में बम बांध के चलते हैं दूसरों को मारने के लिए. अब ये अपने आप फटे या किसी ने फोड़ा, ये मरे, ये मारा, अभी तक ये मैटर ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेशन एंड वी आर कॉलिंग ऑन सिंस स्टार्टिंग.
लेट मी ब्रिंग इन तहसीन पूनावाला. It now turns out, एक मिनट, it now turns out, Mr. Poonawala, that what was thought to be an act of communal outrage at the hands of Hindu supremacist groups turns out to be actually, and I'm not condoning it at all, an instance where one Gaurakshak gang is trying to fix another. And they decide to murder two people to frame a competitor Gaurakshak. This is what the Rajasthan police is claiming in its FIR, and they've made some arrests. How do you respond to Mr. Bansal, who says...
You cannot say the Gaurakshak as a gang, sir.
Achha, ek minute,
I have a strong objection.
One second.
आप उसको Gaurakshak gang नहीं कह सकते, sir.
अच्छा, ठीक है, sir. एक मिनट, रुक जाइए. They are gangs, sir. They are two gangs that are fighting amongst each other. Now, whether they are Gaurakshak gangs or they are whatever gangs, they are two gangs that are fighting against each other. One gang was led by Monu Mane, sir. Another gang was led by... No, please, wait a minute.
How can this person justify the Gaurakshak terrorism on national
television? It's not a gang, it's a group.
One second. Let me first get in Tehseen Punawala. How would you like to respond to Mr. Bansal?
They are terror group.
I'm stunned. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. And one of the reasons when I fought vigilantism in the Supreme Court, I tried to keep it religious neutral, because this sort of nonsense happens. So in the cases we put before the Supreme Court, 6 were Muslim cases, 6 were Hindu cases. And now just for additional information, your viewers would be stunned to know the most amount of lynching and vigilantism happens to women and third genders, because it's very easy to brand a woman a witch to take her property, or third genders to call them sexual workers, and then you lynch them. So that's the most number of lynchings in our country. But listen, this what Mr. Bansal is defending is pathetic, because this is a complete violation of the Supreme Court judgment. In my case, Haryana police is going out of its way to make it uncomfortable for the Rajasthan police to block it. Haryana police is duty bound as per the judgment of Tehseen Punawala versus Union of India to not just cooperate with Rajasthan police, to present the accused to the Rajasthan police, where the trial will happen in Rajasthan as the bodies were found in Rajasthan. This is very clearly mentioned in the Supreme Court judgment. Not just that, Haryana is supposed to compensate the victim. None of this, all of the Supreme Court judgments have been flouted by Haryana. That's point number one. Point number two, that the victims, please sir, don't interrupt me, that a panchayat was allowed by the Haryana police to actually play victim cards to those who are accused. Speaks horribly of how the Haryana government is going. Sir, this is a tactic of the BJP. Every time we put out facts, you start interrupting so that the facts don't reach them.
Raman Malik, one second, 1 minute, Bansal Saab, 1 second. Let me bring in Raman Malik also.
Hear what Tehseen exactly is saying.
He's saying very clearly that the Haryana government is patronizing Gaurakshak groups, and these Gaurakshak groups are taking the law into their hands and dispensing instant justice. That's what he's saying. How do you respond to this?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so Rahul, let's understand something very clearly, and the chronology must be understood. The fact of the matter is that number one, this is neither Shaheen Bagh or the Singhu border where law is going to be taken into its own hand. If there's somebody who has done wrong, will be taken to task after proper execution of the law as per law inscribed, and we will follow it in true letter and spirit. That is the basic ethos of working of this government. Number one. Number two, we are not going to be like the Rajasthan government, the Rajasthan police, who's working under pressure of the standing operation procedure given by the Congress High Command to their police wherever they are. They go and they have been told, like the way under Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi, MAV, they used to act like street goons, the Maharashtra police. The same way now the Rajasthan police is acting like that. There is allegation and the case and the complaint has been filed for them for doing a very heinous crime, and that is mishandling women, especially a woman who was carrying and the fetus was killed because of what Rajasthan police supposedly has done. So now those are very serious charges. The third most important fact is, yet the DNA of the deceased, yet the evidences, the biological evidences, the DNA based evidences have yet not come.
Okay. So you're saying
at the same point, there are certain questions which, Rahul, are coming up.
Okay. What are these questions?
Which come up is that, has the Rajasthan police ever said that Haryana government or the Haryana police is obstructing their justice work?
Yes.
No. The second most important thing is that the Haryana, you have to understand that without the evidence.
Can I ask you a question, Raman Malik Saab, on this issue? Can I just ask you a small question?
Caste dispersion.
Mr. Malik, we have FIRs. We have FIRs in former cases. 1 second, and we have video evidence.
The third most important.
1 second. Malik Saab, 1 second, please. Just give me 30 seconds, please. Let me just intervene here. There are two important things I need clarifications on. First of all, we have FIRs which are naming some amount of Gaurakshaks who are serving as secret informers, overt informers, and we also have instances where Gaurakshaks have been charged with taking law into their own hands by dispensing spot justice. All of this is happening in the full knowledge of the police. Monu Mane sir has put out videos. I'm not saying he's linked in this in any which way in the double murder here. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that he himself has put out videos where he can be shown beating up cow smugglers. I'm not defending cow smugglers, but that is what has been said. Mr. Malik, why has he not been arrested so far for those crimes?
See, the very fact is, Rahul, that आपके घर में अगर चोरी हो रही है और आप चोर को पकड़ोगे तो आपका एक natural reaction होता है.
Nah, sir,
now
please.
That natural reaction
we can't. No, sir, please. Sorry, sir.
Cannot be
this is in a public space. This is in a public space, and you can't take. That is vigilantism, classic vigilantism. Sorry, sir.
Given a complete pardon. Please listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
So we can say
please understand that it cannot be given a complete pardon. At the same point, I have a question to you. They named these particular people. Why did these people did not go and catch hold of X, Y, Z? Why only these two? Because these two had a perpetual habit of being involved.
Sir, why should they be catching? Why shouldn't the police be catching? They should have gone to the police and said, there are these two individuals who are indulging in this kind of activity. Can you please take... No. This I will not. No. 1 second. This I cannot endorse. No respectable individual, law-abiding individual can suggest that anyone in this society has the right of enforcing the law, besides people in uniform appointed by the state to do so. I leave it at this, viewers. I leave it for you to decide who's crossing the line, who's playing the politics. I leave it at this.
Hello and welcome. $110 एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह। यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की। नमस्ते टाइम्स ड्राइव फैमिली, आई एम क्रांति संभव। वेलकम टू द फर्स्ट ड्राइव रिव्यू ऑफ BMW 3 सीरीज GL यानी ग्रैंड लिमोजीन, जो ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर 3 सीरीज से ज्यादा लंबी है व्हील बेस के हिसाब से। कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए, और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम का, ज्यादा स्पेस का, वो दावा पूरा हो पा रहा है या नहीं। सो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस कार, सबसे पहले टाइम्स ड्राइव के बारे में आपसे बात करता हूं या अपील करता हूं। अभी तक अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल को, और सोशल मीडिया पर बाकी जो भी हैंडल्स हैं वहां पर टाइम्स ड्राइव के नाम से आप सर्च करें, उसे भी फॉलो करें। लेटेस्ट खबरें आपको मिलेंगी, और timesdrive.in है हमारा वेबसाइट, वहां पर तो लेटेस्ट खबरों के अलावा डिस्काउंट्स और जो स्पाई पिक्स हैं, आने वाली गाड़ियां हैं, उन सब के बारे में खबरें मिलेंगी। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस स्टोरी। हम बात करते हैं BMW 3GL की। क्रांति संभव रिपोर्टिंग फ्रॉम द सेकंड रो ऑफ BMW 3GL। आमतौर पर ये वाला हिस्सा स्टोरी में बाद में आता है, लेकिन जब यूएसपी यही है तो फिर व्हाई नॉट स्टार्ट द स्टोरी विद दिस। और यहाँ पे सबसे पहली चीज जो मैं देख पा रहा हूँ, उसमें कुछ बताने की जरूरत भी नहीं है। आई एम 6'3", बावजूद इसके लेग रूम, नी रूम आप देख सकते हैं कितनी ज्यादा मुझे यहाँ पर मिल रही है, यानी बहुत ज्यादा आरामदेह आपको ये एक्स्ट्रा जो व्हील बेस है, एक्स्ट्रा जो इसका लेंथ है, वो आपको सेकेंड रो में देने वाला है, काफी ज्यादा एक्स्ट्रा आराम स्पेस के हिसाब से। और दूसरी चीज जो मुझे खास लग रही है, थाई सपोर्ट काफी आगे तक है, इसका बेंच जो है काफी ब्रॉड है, तो वहां पे आप लंबी दूरी पर काफी आरामदेह तरीके से जा सकते हैं। एवरेज इंडियन हाइट के लिए तो ये जगह काफी है, लेकिन ये जगह एडिक्वेट होगी, क्योंकि मेरी हाइट के लिए अगर मैं कहूँ तो यहाँ पर अगर मैं थोड़ा सा अपराइट बैठूं तो यहाँ पर ये मेरा सर टच कर रहा है, बट अगेन आई एम नॉट एवरेज इंडियन हाइट, थोड़ा सा मैं ज्यादा लंबा हूँ। तो ओवरऑल स्पेशियस, कंफर्टेबल मुझे लग रही है 2 लोगों के लिए खास तौर पर, और वैसे 3 लोगों की भी जगह है, लेकिन यहाँ पर ये जो हिस्सा है बैकरेस्ट, वहां पर आपको आर्मरेस्ट मिलेगा, यहाँ पर फोन वगैरह या टैबलेट वगैरह रखने की जगह है, और प्लस 2 कप होल्डर्स आपको यहाँ पर, या बॉटल होल्डर्स आई गेस कप होल्डर्स, वो आपको देखने को यहाँ मिल रहे हैं। ओवरऑल जो फील है वो काफी सॉलिड है, जो फिनिश है काफी प्रीमियम है, जो क्वालिटी है वो काफी प्रीमियम आपको देखने को मिल रहा है। और यहाँ पर एसी वेंट अगर हम देखें तो यहाँ 3 जोन क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल आप समझ सकते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पर अलग से आप अपने पैसेंजर सीट के लिए, रेयर सीट के लिए अलग टेम्परेचर जोन आप यहाँ सेट कर सकते हैं, वो कंट्रोल दिया गया है। साथ में 2 सी टाइप के पोर्ट्स भी आपको देखने को मिल रहे हैं। सो फीचर के हिसाब से, आराम के हिसाब से, स्पेस के हिसाब से सेकेंड रो is very practical, and I think this is the USP of this car. Gandhi Samo reporting from the first row of or driver seat of BMW 3GL। और यहाँ सबसे पहली चीज जिसके बारे में बात करना चाहूंगा वो है ये पूरा स्क्रीन का सेटअप। जो शेप है उसका हल्का सा कर्व्ड आपको ड्राइवर साइड की तरफ या ड्राइवर सेंट्रिक थोड़ा सा ये ज़्यादा लग रहा है, बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं बट या यू फील कि हाँ आपकी तरफ ये मुड़ा हुआ है। सो एक कर्व इसकी बनावट है। यहाँ पर एक स्क्रीन है जो पूरी तरह से डिजिटल इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन आपको नजर आएगा। दिस इज 12.3 इंचेस और यहाँ पर दूसरा जो स्क्रीन है 14.9 इंच का। यहाँ मोर और लेस इस सेंटर पैनल में जो बटन्स आपको देखने को मिल रहे थे, आमतौर पर जो दिखते हैं वो सारे बटन्स यहाँ से लगभग नदारद हो गए, जो बहुत ही बेसिक फंक्शंस हैं, चाहे वो एसी की स्पीड का हो या फिर वॉल्यूम कंट्रोल का हो, ट्रैक को आगे पीछे करने का हो, वो आप यहाँ बटन देख रहे हैं। अदरवाइज मोरलेस सारे कंट्रोल्स मुझे यहाँ नज़र आ रहे हैं। थोड़ा वक्त लगेगा इसके टच स्क्रीन के बिहेवियर को आपको समझने में या आदत लगाने में। यहाँ पर आपको वायरलेस एप्पल कारप्ले, एंड्रॉयड ऑटो भी मिल रहा है, प्लस ये सारे ऐप्स यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं, इससे आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। एक और चीज़ जो इसमें एडिशन हुई है वो आपको बताएं। जैसे एक बार आपको याद होगा, बहुत पहले मैंने BMW में जब पहली बार वॉइस कमांड्स आए थे, तब मैंने जब कमांड दिया था, हे BMW प्लीज ओपन ड्राइवर साइड विंडो, तो ये विंडो अब तो खोल रही है, लेकिन पिछली बार इसने मना कर दिया था कि भाई इतना काम तो तुम खुद कर लो, बाकी सारे कमांड्स तो मैं मान ही रही हूं। लेकिन अब
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं Mohul, who's founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. But उसके अलावा कुछ और चीज़ें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं। सो इस बाइक को लेकर थोड़ा टाइमलाइन, इफ यू कैन एक्सप्लेन किस तरह का टाइमलाइन रहने वाला है एंड कब इसका ऑफिशियली लॉन्च आप करने वाले हैं?
Definitely. So first thing is at the Auto Expo we have also showcased the 6 kilowatt version of the bike. So at launch we had a 5 kilowatt version. Now we also have a 6 kilowatt version of the bike. And in terms of timeline, in the next 30 days we will be giving out the spec variants and pricing to the larger market. We will be opening up bookings for the Matter motorbike this quarter, and deliveries summer में शुरू हो जाने वाली है।
सो एक चीज़ जो बहुत ही टेक्नोलॉजी का हूँ इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बाइक के बारे में, इसमें गियर है। इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक होने के साथ साथ इसमें वो आइस वाला आपने एसेंस और बहुत बड़ा एसेंस इसमें बचा के रखा है। सो वो कैसे आपने उस पर काम किया एंड हाउ डिड यू थॉट अबाउट दिस कि ये अगर हम इसमें इंक्लूड कर पाते हैं गियर शिफ्ट वाला पैटर्न, सो वो कैसे स्टार्ट हुआ? वो
So when we in 2019 when we were starting out, we spoke to a lot of consumers कि electric bike क्यों नहीं खरीदते। In 2019 there were only a handful of players who were giving motorcycles as a product, and what we realized is कि motorcycling is emotion driven. You name your bike, you work with it, you control it, you become one with your bike, and from there the common theme came, control नहीं मिल रहा, feel नहीं आ रही, right? Obviously once we started translating कि हमें क्या सुनाई दे रहा है और कस्टमर को क्या चाहिए, and we've spoken to over 500 customers on this. Clear indication, gear तो चाहिए, and that's when we said कि let's make something that the consumers truly want. ऐसा नहीं कि जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसी को वापस पैकेज करके दे देते हैं, लेट्स मेक इट। तो वहाँ से when the journey started, we had to make our own motors, we had to make the gearboxes, the batteries, the electronics, the entire vehicle from scratch.
And nobody would have, I believe nobody would have thought of जितने भी EVs, two wheelers इंडिया में अब आ रहे हैं, ये गियर वाला किसी ने, I think
we are the first in India to have actually put gears on a electric bike or an electric two wheeler.
सो ये एक चीज़ है जो स्टैंड आउट करती है मैटर को बाकी सभी EVs या और भी जो ब्रांड्स ऑलरेडी मौजूद हैं मार्केट में। इसके अलावा आई हैव सीन वहाँ पे एक कॉन्सेप्ट खड़ा है, एंड देयर इज वन कॉन्सेप्ट ओवर देयर, एंड दिस वन आई रियली लव इट राइट नाउ. आई होप ये जिस शेप में है एटलीस्ट 70-80% इसका ये शेप वैसे का ही जब फाइनली प्रोडक्शन वर्जन में देखने को मिलेगा.
डेफिनेटली.
सो इन दोनों को लेके आपका क्या प्लान है, एंड व्हाट उसका पर्पस क्या है, इसका पर्पस क्या है, यू कैन प्लीज.
So definitely. So while the Matter motorbike sits in the 150-200 cc.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the 2024 election battle draws closer, has the Congress party resigned itself to its fate and accepted that it might not win the elections on its own? Even as Prime Minister Modi roared in Parliament on the 9th of February saying, "Ek akela kitno par bhari pad raha hai," the Congress party seems to be losing faith in its own, conceding that the Congress is possibly not in a position to get a majority in the 2024 polls. Party President Mallikarjun Kharge himself declared that an alliance will be formed at the center. Kharge even expressed hope, saying that the Congress will lead this coalition. This perhaps is the biggest admission by the Congress party that despite the Bharat Jodo Yatra, the party is not in a position to fight Narendra Modi alone. Let's listen in to and hear what he had to say about the reality check of the Congress party.
Proudly says, no democratic man says like this. You are in democracy, you should remember, you are not a autocrat, you are not a dictator, you are elected by people and people will teach you lesson in 2024. The alliance government will come in center. Congress will lead. We are talking with other parties because otherwise the democracy and constitution will go. We are sharing our views how to win 2024. Therefore, the BJP will not get majority. All other parties together, of course, Congress will lead.
On the other hand, the Congress boss today spoke of forming an alliance in 2024 led by his party, but Rahul Gandhi himself was pulling no punches to spare the Trinamool Congress in Meghalaya, where he said the Trinamool Congress is in cahoots with the BJP and they're both corrupt and use their money power. Listen in to Mr. Rahul Gandhi.
The history of the TMC, you know the violence that takes place in Bengal, you know the scams, the Sharda scams that have taken place. So you're aware of their tradition. They came to Goa, spent huge amounts of money in Goa, and the idea was to help the BJP. And this is exactly the idea in Meghalaya. The idea is to ensure, the TMC's idea in Meghalaya is to ensure that the BJP is strengthened and they come to power.
Even as the Congress is looking for allies, the other opposition parties didn't really seem very enthusiastic about its grand 2024 plan and Congress in the leadership position. Listen in to Mamata Banerjee and other opposition leaders.
हमारे मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार ने खुद ही कहा है कि उनको बड़ी पार्टी होने के नाते सभी दलों से संपर्क करना चाहिए और विपक्षी एकता के प्रयास तेज करने चाहिए। इसी बीच में तीसरा मोर्चा बनाने का प्रस्ताव भी ममता बनर्जी और केजरीवाल जी और के चंद्रशेखर राव की तरफ से आया है और उन्होंने भी कई सभाएं इस बीच में की। जो नीतीश फॉर्मूला ऑफ अपोजिशन यूनिटी 2024 है वो इन सबसे भिन्न है।
देखिए, खड़गे जी बहुत सीनियर नेता हैं, अनुभवी नेता हैं और उनको सही काम उन्होंने कि अकेला तो कांग्रेस सरकार कर नहीं सकती। जितने ऑपोजिशन है सबको विश्वास में लेके, सबको साथ लेके मिल बैठ के कोई अगर रास्ता निकाला जाए तो बीजेपी के सामने एक अच्छा टक्कर होगा, बीजेपी को हटाया जा सकता है। जिस स्टेट में कांग्रेस कमजोर है वहाँ का जो रीजनल पार्टी है उनको आगे अपर हैंड दे।
All the girl child at the Konyasi, they get scholarship from school level to college level to university level, and we give 10 lakhs rupees, the smart card for the students, so that they should not disturb their education. Their parents must not be worried for their education. We do it. All the girl child at the Konyasi, they get scholarship from school level to college level to university level, and we give 10 lakhs rupees, the smart card for the students, so that they should not disturb their education. Their parents must not be.
Even in the past, the regional satraps have been seen and heard mocking and deriding Rahul Gandhi's leadership. Who can forget these statements made by somebody like KCR Rao?
The biggest buffoon in the country. Everybody knows. Whole country has seen the open assembly how he went to Mr. Narendra Modi and hugged him. The way he is winking.
बीएसपी व सपा को कांग्रेस पार्टी के साथ चुनावी गठबंधन करने से कोई खास लाभ मिलने वाला नहीं है।
The BJP has meanwhile dismissed this call of the Congress party, saying that it's confident that under Modi the BJP will win with the thumping majority and that the coalition dreams of the Congress are still born even today.
ये कल तक की यात्रा में उन्हें भावी प्रधानमंत्री पद का उम्मीदवार लॉन्च किया गया। अब खड़गे साहब कह रहे हैं 2024 में गठबंधन की सरकार आ गई। मुंगेरी लाल के हसीन सपने देखने से कोई किसी को रोक नहीं सकता। 2 दर्जन उम्मीदवार पहले ही प्रधानमंत्री पद के लिए इस देश में घूम रहे हैं।
Who can forget Prime Minister Modi's clarion call that ripped into the opposition on the floor of the Rajya Sabha, and when he said, "Ek Modi, kitno par bhari."
और आदरणीय सभापति जी, देश देख रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है। अरे नारे बोलने के लिए भी उनको बदल करना पड़ता है। जो भी ये बोलता है घंटे भर से आवाज की जवाब देता है। आदरणीय सभापति जी, एक कन्विक्शन के कारण चला हूं, देश के लिए जीता हूं, देश के लिए कुछ करने के लिए निकला हुआ हूं, और इसलिए ये राजनीतिक खेल खेलने वाले लोग, उनके अंदर वो हौसला नहीं है, वो ढूंढ रहे हैं, बचने का रास्ता खोज रहे हैं।
Not just this, the Prime Minister, speaking at a Times Network summit just last week, went on and took a whale dig at Rahul Gandhi, saying that some products were being launched and relaunched without any reimagination. Listen in to that observation.
हमारे यहां तो अधिकतर ओपिनियन मेकर्स हर 6 महीने में एक ही प्रोडक्ट के रीलॉन्च रीलॉन्च उसमें बिजी रहते हैं। और इस रीलॉन्च में भी वो री इमेजिनेशन नहीं करते। खैर, काफी समझदार लोग यहां बैठे। जो भी हो, लेकिन ये आज के समय के लिए बहुत ही रिलेवेंट थीम है।
legitimate question we are asking on the Newshour tonight. Is it going to be Akela Modi versus a Khichdi in 2024? Are there going to be takers for it after seeing two 5-year terms of Modi with a majority? That's the question we are asking, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the Newshour tonight is Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Also joining me tonight, Editor of ANI, Smita Prakash. Lokesh Jindal, Leader of the Congress Party. Riju Datta, Spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Naval Kishore, Spokesperson of the RJD. And also Karthik Reddy, Leader and Spokesperson of the BRS. My first question goes across to Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, एक तरफ प्रधानमंत्री कह रहे हैं एक अकेला सब पर भारी, and on the other side, after a Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari to Srinagar, Rahul Gandhi and his party are speaking in divergent voices. Mallikarjun Kharge talking about a coalition which was a reality. Rahul Gandhi calling similar prospective coalition partners, corrupt and doing business with the BJP. What do you think the Congress's and the opposition strategy seems to be for 2024?
Navika, their strategy is that there is no strategy. Their strategy is that there is no leader. Their strategy is that there is no agenda for the people of the country. There is only a dream, and the dream is that गांधी परिवार का कोई सदस्य सत्ता की कुर्सी से बैठ ना भी पाए तो लटका हुआ मिल जाए. And Kharge ji's statement today is very relevant for today's politics. It is very relevant, one, because it's an admission by the Congress party that all alone, on their own strength, they do not have it in them to take on the Bharatiya Janata Party and the charismatic, strong, dynamic leadership of Shri Narendra Modi ji. Therefore, they are not asking others to join. They are rather begging. A party which was one of the largest party in India today is seen with a begging bowl that we need to come together. What was also said by Nitish Kumar when he was doing with Salman Khurshid. Second, I think the 2024 elections would also be very decisive because India is moving forward and a strong message would be sent. We are very confident that people are waiting to bless Narendra Modi ji again for a third consecutive term because they see in him a very trustworthy leader, a decisive leader, a leader who has risen up the ranks through sheer hard work and is not a byproduct of dynastic politics. I would say this, that now the politics of pro-incumbency is being talked about. The days of anti-incumbency and then incidentally taking advantage, being in the opposition is over. People have faith in Narendra Modi ji. Most importantly, the elections would be fought on what issues? Let us remember, COVID was a pandemic and India faced it bravely. India responded like a strong nation. Collective effort of every citizen coupled with the leadership of Narendra Modi ji. 220 crore doses of vaccine, 80 crore people getting ration so that nobody sleeps without ration and food. And on the other side was Congress party, the opposition, the negative, pessimistic opposition that was saying don't take vaccines because these vaccines are dangerous. On one side is the abrogation of Article 370. India has not electorally responded to the opposition by the Congress of even abrogation of Article 370. Now will be the time. Third, a magnificent Ram temple being built. This would be the first election when we would have a Ram temple there, and parties who said Lord Rama is fictional, who make anti-Hindu statements to hurt the feelings of the majority community, that would also be decisive. Coupled with the fact that now the deprived and the underprivileged is being empowered by Modi ji by ensuring water in taps. Up to 9 crore households have received that. We have seen 10 crore gas cylinders.
That seems like a complete manifesto and poll promises, Gaurav Bhatia.
No, it's not a manifesto. Navika, not at all. This is not a manifesto. We have so much to tell the people of the country. 27 lakh crore directly deposited in the bank accounts. You remember Rajiv Gandhi had said, हम 1 रुपए देते हैं 15 पैसे पहुंचते हैं. मोदी जी ने करके दिखाया, 1 रुपए देते हैं, पूरा 1 रुपया उस लाभार्थी के अकाउंट में पहुंचता है. That is the difference. Thank you.
Well, so let me get in Mr. Lokesh Jindal. Mr. Lokesh Jindal, what has the Congress party gained with the Bharat Jodo Yatra if you have to still bank on coalitions to take on Narendra Modi in 2024? Number one. And number two, you did try to get all opposition leaders together in Jammu and Kashmir when the end of the Bharat Jodo Yatra was happening. And none of the bigger parties decided to come and grace that occasion, whether it was the Trinamool Congress, BSP, Samajwadi Party, CPM, JDU, RJD, TDP, koi nahi aaya. All of them went, at least some of them went to, Hyderabad or Telangana a few days later, but nobody came to Jammu and Kashmir. आप कह रहे कोalition बनाएंगे and coalition के सरदार भी राहुल गांधी बनेंगे. मुंगेरी लाल के हसीन सपने?
Navika ji, these dreams are reality because if you look at the difference between Congress and BJP, these are two separate set of organization. Congress is a mass-based political party. So you have, it's not a one-man show like that of BJP. If you talk about, it's a cadre-based organization deriving its energy heavily upon the network of cadres, going with the top-down approach, quite similar to that of Politburo of China. But if you talk about Congress, which is a party of consensus, we have local level leadership indulging into consensus, and then it is not an ideology which is a top-down approach, but via this consensus there is a sufficient grounds for various regional political parties coming up and engaging into healthy discussions and then developing some form of agreements, and that is how a government is formed, which is more participatory, inclusive and democracy. Now what has happened is presently in the regime of Narendra Modi, we have seen that there is regional inequality and a rise in regional consciousness that is going to benefit the state political parties. And the economic inequality is causing a lot of anti-incumbency factor. So in these circumstances, Congress has a lot to gain. In fact, Congress acts as a large platform whereby all these political parties, they come together with their issues, indulge into a form of a bargain, I will say indulge into form of a coming into an agreement and then forming a government. And this is what is going to happen in 2024. In fact, what Kharge ji said was something that was coming out of years of political experience and his grip over the grassroots reality.
Yes. Well, so bargaining, the cat is out of the bag, and Smita Prakash, I want to ask you, bargaining, is that how the coalition is going to be formed for 2024, number one? And number two, Mr. Lokesh Jindal, extremely optimistic about the Congress party, says it's a party based on consensus. Did you see that in Himachal Pradesh after elections? Consensus, did you see between T.S. Singhdeo and Bhupesh Baghel in Chhattisgarh? Consensus in Rajasthan between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot? Do you think the Congress party is still in denial mode?
Well, thank you, Navika. You pointed out these things at the ground level. The confidence doesn't stem from what Mr. Lokesh Jindal said or from what you're pointing out. The confidence in the Congress party stems from the Bharat Jodo Yatra. That confidence, they think, brings with it this feeling that the Congress is the only party that can mount a challenge to the BJP in 2024 and also in the state elections this year. Now it's a quest to see now that which party is which other opposition party is willing to tango with the BJP to get a pre-election coalition going. Now some are openly pleading, like you pointed out, Nitish Kumar, but some like Arvind Kejriwal and Akhilesh Yadav they are like this spurned lover status, you know. If there was lovey-dovey that Nitish Kumar wanted, these two are like the spurned lover. Now some are willing to join right now, which is like Stalin and Deve Gowda. Then there are some miffed like Mamata Banerjee and the TMC. Today you saw that open comment by Rahul Gandhi about the TMC, and even Mahua Moitra and Derek O'Brien tweeting pictures and saying, I mean, there's a war of words between yesterday and today in Shillong, which is too sharp to indicate any kind of a rapprochement. Then you have this overarching ambitions of, say, a KCR or Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar trying to be big daddy to Uddhav Sena. Now, none of these stalwarts show any sign of a mature coalition builder coming up. So Khargeji might have dreams, but there's nobody who's willing to build a coalition right now, like, say, an NTR did earlier. So the larger question remains that is a pre-election coalition possible, an alliance possible? Some say that, you know, these coalition governments are more representative than a very a single powerful party ruling, because then it means that the administration is more representative in nature. But India's had an experience of this Khichdi Sarkar, which you pointed out, to which, if you remember, in Boat Club, Vajpayee had said, "Hum kheer paka rahe hain, khichdi nahi paka rahe hain." So, you know, it depends upon India whether it wants that kind of a coalition, or it wants a continuation of two terms which you have seen.
Well, so let me get in Mr. Riju Datta. Mr. Riju Datta, today Mamata Banerjee turned around and said, "Ye bachcha hai, bachche ko bolne do." Does that really mean that the TMC does not take the Congress party very seriously? Secondly, everybody knows that Mamata Banerjee in her own right is a tall leader who can have her own claims to the top job in New Delhi when it comes to the opposition getting together. Would she want that? Or do you think Mallikarjun Kharge's plan and Nitish Kumar's urging the Congress party to get everybody together into forming a pre-poll coalition, does that have any takers within the Trinamool Congress and other opposition parties?
Navika, first of all, let me make it very clear that I believe, and TMC believe, that the 2024 general elections are going to be people's issues versus the jumlas of the BJP. That's number one. And talking about coalition, I don't know whether there will be a pre-poll alliance or whether there will be a post-poll alliance, because there are a lot of hopefuls in the opposition for the highest post in New Delhi. But Mamata Banerjee does not have that aspiration, because she has clearly said, let the united front decide, or let the people of this country decide who they want to contest against Mr. Narendra Modi. But coming back to today's question, yes, and I will say this as the national spokesperson of the party, that nobody has the paternal right on the opposition space. Nobody can self-claim that, oh, I am going to make the alliance and everybody come together. Let me make it very clear. Dvinash Kale Viprit Buddhi, there is no point in making childish statements. You know, if you see the rally pictures in Meghalaya today of Miss Mamata Banerjee and Mr. Rahul Gandhi, you will understand कि Rahul Baba को गुस्सा क्यों आया. So we understand all that. We are not going and fighting elections in Chhattisgarh, Karnataka or Rajasthan. We have taken BJP head on in Bengal and we have defeated BJP. So we are against the BJP. It is up to the Mr. Rahul Gandhi to understand that first you need to unify your party. 11 of their MLAs won in Goa, 8 of them are in BJP now. You gave 92 candidates against TMC in Bengal to help the BJP, and then you point fingers at us for scams and atrocities. Now let me point out two historical facts. Smita ji and you are here. From the emergency to Operation Blue Star, from Bofors to 2G. Let's not talk about violence and corruption. At least it does not suit the Congress. So bottom line, I believe that the opposition wants to end BJP's reigns against
in India, which is against the people of India, which is communal in nature, and all the other burning issues of unemployment and the Mahangai and everything. But Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who has lost 40 out of last 45 elections, pointing finger at Trinamool Congress is a little bit rich.
Well, Lokesh Jindal, समझ आई मैथमेटिक्स एंड मैथमेटिक्स बॉडी लैंग्वेज इमोशनल क्वेश्चन पॉलिटिकल अलायंसेस समझ आया कुछ जो रिजू दत्ता जी बोल रहे हैं
It reminds me of a teenager who has just started who has just opened up to the world and thinks that they can replace the father. There's much more to go. You need to grow up more. You have just confined yourself to the state regional political party.
One answer.
Coalition.
Can I give one answer?
All right, Viju, go for it. Go for it. I see the decimation of a coalition even before it's taken birth.
Yeah, I will only say this, that yes, we are teenagers, we have big ambition, big dreams, which are quite natural, but apparently the political father needs to be relaunched and repackaged every 6 months. So he should think about himself first.
We give you a
Gaurav Bhatia, I can't resist. Gaurav Bhatia, I can't resist getting a comment in from you. You know, when Rahul Gandhi called the Trinamool Congress corrupt, Riju Datta has responded with the memories of Bofords and 2G being brought alive. When he says there is no paternal right, तो वहाँ teenager और बाप वगैरह की fight चल रही है. Gaurav Bhatia, what is this show?
No, I would say that today we might have our ideological differences, but what the TMC spokesperson just said and Mamata Banerjee said, ये तो बच्चा है जी, बच्चे को बोलने दो. मतलब ये बात तो पूरा भारत कह रहा है that राजनीति की समझ नहीं है, and you missed the main point. My friend from the TMC said no one has the paternal right on the opposition. Exactly. ऑपोजिशन की लड़ाई है कि सबसे बड़ी पार्टी कौन बनेगी नाविका जी. दिस फाइट फॉर द ऑपोजिशन इज नॉट अबाउट कमिंग टू पावर टू सर्व द पीपल. द रियल फाइट इज कि ऑपोजिशन पार्टी कौन होगी मेन, एंड दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट वी हैव बीन सेइंग टुडे, वेल सेड बाय द टीएमसी स्पोक्सपर्सन ऑल्सो. आई वुड ऑल्सो लाइक टू साइट एन एग्जाम्पल. नाविका, you know, when Congress allies with a party, how does it work out to be? Is it a very firm alliance? No, it is not. It is a tool of convenience to win an election which they don't win and then they part ways. I'll give you examples. Uttar Pradesh 2017, what happened? टूटी हुई साइकिल समाजवादी पार्टी की, राहुल गांधी came together with Akhilesh Yadav, parted ways. Assam, Badruddin Ajmal, they wanted to defeat the BJP, they came together, now they parted ways. West Bengal, they joined hands with Furfura Sharif and also left. What happened? Congress got zero, zilch. And that is why, you know, it was a tool of convenience. So people can see through the sinister alliances that they form, and that is why it doesn't inspire the confidence of the common man.
Navika ji, can I reply?
Well, Mr. Karthik Reddy, I want to.
Yes, thank you.
One quick 10 seconds.
Yes, Karthik Reddy, of course you should come in.
One quick second comment.
No, everybody wants to come in. Everybody wants to put their hat in the ring. Everybody. Karthik Reddy. Yeah.
Navika. Yes, ma'am.
I'll come back to you, Riju Datta. But Karthik Reddy, the question is, Rahul Gandhi invited opposition parties to Jammu and Kashmir. Nobody turned up. But in Telangana, many leaders did turn up. So does that make the BRS a more acceptable, so-called fulcrum around which other opposition parties can come in? So will you put your hat in the ring and say that KCR is better than Rahul Gandhi as an option?
Isn't it obvious, Navika? But anyway, before I answer that, Rahul Gandhi must be the luckiest person I know. The reason I say this everybody, even at the age 53, still calls him a bacha. Somebody like me who haven't cracked 40 yet, and we are grown up already. So he must be the luckiest person I know. Anyway, but this is very obvious, Navika. The reason why BJP is what it is, the formidable strength that it seems to be, the huge monster that it seems to be politically, is the reason why it is because of the Congress party. It is because of Rahul Gandhi. There are two things Congress party should clearly understand, and Mallikarjun Kharge especially he knows, but yet I believe there's a facade that he has to put up, but they have to realize, one, nobody has made them the captain of the team. They are not. As I said before, they are the reason why BJP and Narendra Modi has come to power twice. And many a times we see BJP spokesperson and BJP leaders openly proclaim that Rahul Gandhi happens to be the star campaigner, and you are witness to this many times. And number two, as Gaurav just mentioned, any political party teaming up for anything devoid of ideology and only for the reason of power, people will reject this. And history has repeated this again and again, has shown us again and again, that political parties which come together for power devoid of ideology will always lose. And Congress party should realize one against everybody will not work. People of this country will not accept this. Everything said and done, Navika, one thing is very clear: the opposition, there is space, and KCR with his magic, with his experience, with his acumen, we are coming for it. As you said, there are many political parties which already accepted us as part of this larger opposition role. And another thing which is very clear, the Modi magic is waning, the BJP strength is waning. What it has proclaimed to be in 2014, the Gujarat model se aake, abhi hum nahi to aur kaun. So that is very apparent. That is very clear that BJP is banking on a weaker opposition than their own performance.
Well, Smita Prakash, you agree with Karthik Reddy, or do you find holes in that argument? Before I get in Mr. Naval Kishore.
Well, I think it's overarching ambition on the part of BRS so far. I don't think they have made any great moves as far as national presence is concerned. But just remember that if you're talking about people landing up in their state, there's also March 1st Talon's birthday, and some opposition leaders are expected to join in there for the celebrations, and including the Congress. And the Congress realizes that it cannot play a smaller partner in pre-election alliance, and it's been out of power for 2 terms, and if there is no pre-election alliance, then it really is Vinash Kale, as they say, because it's the only party that has a national presence so far. Yes, they are in power only in 3 states, but in over 100 seats they are the only ones who take on the BJP 1-to-1. So it's the only party which has a pan-India presence. So when you talk about TMC or Aam Aadmi Party, DMK, SP, BSP, BRS, they're all basically regional parties who are trying to mount a challenge to the Modi-led BJP in 2024. And right now it is ambition without actual concrete steps on the ground. So it remains to be seen whether they will accept Rahul Gandhi by the end of 2023, because otherwise what you will see is tail wagging the dog if the regional parties are the ones who are going to be calling the shots.
Well, so let me get in Naval Kishore ji. Naval Kishore ji, नीतीश जी बहुत आतुर हैं कि किसी तरह कोई कोalition बन जाए. Does he really think that राहुल गांधी बन जाए तो बेटर होगा, क्योंकि inexperienced हैं, सत्ता में शायद उनका इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, तो नीतीश कुमार de facto head of this coalition हो जाएंगे. लेकिन दूसरा सवाल ये भी है कि उनकी अपनी गद्दी सेफ है क्या, क्योंकि वहां से तो आवाजें आ रही हैं कि Tejashi will be the new CM, and where does that leave Nitish Kumar? Is he going to give up the CM position so that he can project himself as the future Prime Minister for 2024 of the opposition?
देखिए, जैसे ही बिहार में सत्ता परिवर्तन हुआ, एक चर्चा पूरे देश में बनी कि जो बिहार में एक्सपेरिमेंट हुआ है वही राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे होना चाहिए। और नीतीश कुमार ने उसी एजेंडा को लेकर पूरे देश भर में विपक्षी दलों से बात की। ये महत्वपूर्ण इसलिए है कि पिछले 10 साल में, या 2 लोकसभा आप कहें 2014 और 2019 में, भाजपा ने जिन लोगों के साथ चुनाव लड़ा उनको धोखा दिया और वो लोग बाहर गए। वो चाहे अकाली दल हो, वो चाहे टीडीपी हो, वो चाहे जेडीयू हो, चाहे ऐसे बहुत सारे दल हैं। जहाँ तक कोलिशन की बात है, कोलिशन तो भारतीय राजनीति की रियलिटी है। बिना कोलिशन का कोई सरकार यहाँ बन नहीं सकता है। बीजेपी चाहे लाख कहे कि यह मोदी सरकार है, लेकिन एक्चुअल में तो एनडीए सरकार है, ये तो अलायंस की सरकार है। तो ये तो सबसे पहली धोखा जो भाजपा देते रही है पूरे देश में, कि सारे दलों का सहायता लेकर वो मोदी जी को आगे बढ़ाती रही है। एक चीज। दूसरी बात जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है कि जो 2 सरकारें भाजपा के नेतृत्व में दिया है, वो सबसे ज़्यादा बेरोजगारी और सबसे ज़्यादा झूठ, सबसे ज़्यादा हिंदू मुस्लिम करके, सबसे ज़्यादा भारतीय पहचान को खतरा पहुंचा के उन्होंने शासन किया है। उनके जो अलायंस है रियलिटी में वो एक संगठन है जो कि सारे सत्ता का लाभ उठाती है। वैसे सारे संगठन हैं जो हिंदू मुस्लिम में भेद पैदा करके पूरे देश में।
किशोर जी, बिहार में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सही हो गया क्या? आप अलायंस में आ गए तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सही हो गया क्या? वहां पर नौकरियां जब मांगी जा रही थी तो किस तरह पुलिस पीट रही थी नौकरी मांगने वाले को, ये तस्वीरें तो कोई भूला नहीं है। तो जब आप इस तरह की बात करते हैं थोड़ा अजीब जरूर लगता है, लेकिन आपने इस बात का जवाब नहीं दिया कि तेजस्वी जी क्या नीतीश कुमार को हटाकर मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे जल्दी से जल्दी, जैसा कहा जा रहा है आपकी पार्टी और उनकी पार्टी द्वारा?
देखिए, दोनों बातें कितनी भ्रामक है नाविका जी, और यही लगता है आपकी प्रशिक्षण है। पहली बात यह है कि जहां पे सरकार चल रही है वहां पे चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑलरेडी चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं। क्या चीफ मिनिस्टर ने ऐसा कोई बयान दिया? क्या तेजस्वी जी ने ऐसा कोई बयान दिया? क्या आरजेडी के ऑफिशियल ट्विटर में ऐसा बयान हुआ? आपने जिस आधार पे इस तरह के सवाल पैदा किए वो इस तरह के भ्रम पैदा करना चाहते हैं। नंबर 2, जिस बात की तरफ आप दिखाना चाहते हैं कि जो भाजपा पिछले 2 टर्म से पूरे देश को बेरोजगार बना रही है और अर्थव्यवस्था में अडानी जैसे दुर्घटना को पूरे देश को धोखा दे रही है, उसको सवाल पूछने के बजाय क्या आपने पूछा है कि क्या मोदी जी का रहना जायज है या नहीं? इतना खतरा, इतना विध्वंसक, इतना तनाव, इतना खराब बर्ताव होने के बावजूद भी यह सरकार
गौरव भाटिया जी जवाब दीजिए। गौरव भाटिया जी, प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड टू मिस्टर नवल किशोर।
My friend Karthik made a remark and I would like to respond to it with some facts as well. First of all, Karthik, you should at least not put your leader in such a difficult situation. खड़े हो, बैठो, नीतीश कुमार was telling him, अरे बैठिए बैठिए, वो कह रहे खड़े हो। He can't even take a decision regarding whether he needs to stand or sit, and this is because his ambition is disproportionate to the goodwill that he enjoys.
It was friendly banter, Gaurav.
Modi magic is waning. Let me give you a fact. Okay, I didn't interrupt you. I think let's conform to the rules of the debate. Yes. So when you say Modi magic is waning, Navika, I just want to show this picture. This is a picture before the 2019 election of the Mahathagbandhan. I have another one. There is one more. They come together, they hold hands, but they do not inspire the confidence of the common man. 2014-2019, Bharatiya Janata Party became a party which got majority on its own, 282 to 303. Second, Gujarat, 27 years, 7 elections in a row has been won because of the Modi magic.
क्या बिहार में जो आपने चुनाव जीती उसमें जनता दल यूनाइटेड का रोल नहीं था?
अब देखिए
कितना झूठ बोलते हो गौरव भाटिया, यही ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है। कैसे बोले आपने? ऐसा बोला आपने कि एनडीए जो भाजपा की सीट है
आपने अपने टाइम में बोलेंगे, अपने टाइम में बोलेंगे। गौरव जी को खत्म कर लेने दीजिए, उसके बाद आप बोलेंगे।
वो तो पूरा सूचना कोई खत्म।
अरे भाई, आप जवाब देने के लिए बैठे हैं ना,
आप क्यों नहीं? जो आप भी कुछ पूछिए ना। सब
आपकी भी कई बार झगड़ा हो चुका है, आपका भी कई बार झगड़ा हो चुका है। नीतीश बाबू ने तो एक बार बैड परफॉर्मेंस के बाद अपनी ही पार्टी के जितेन मांझी को बना दिया था, फिर उनसे भी सत्ता ले ली थी। तो कम से कम बिहार की पॉलिटिक्स में प्रिंसिपल्स की बात ना करें। गौरव भाटिया अपनी बात खत्म करें।
भाजपा के पास है ना प्रिंसिपल्स, भाजपा के पास प्रिंसिपल है ना आपके अनुसार?
देखिए,
ओके, लोअरिंग एवरीबॉडीज फेडर्स। गौरव,
ये जनता तय कर लेगी। मेरी ट्रेनिंग कैसी भी हो, ये जनता तय कर लेगी। लेकिन हमारी पार्टी में कभी ट्रेनिंग नहीं दी गई कि भैंस का चारा भी खा जाओ। हमारी पार्टी में जंगल राज की ट्रेनिंग नहीं दी गई है, ये मैं बोल सकता हूं। और नवल जी की बात का मैं उत्तर दे देता हूं। मेरी बात को बीच में काट दिया गया, मैं उसको पूरा कर देता हूं। टुडे मोदी जी इज द टॉलेस्ट लीडर इन द वर्ल्ड. All the world leaders respect him, rather they look up to him for direction, and we have seen that. I need not repeat all the statements of the world leaders. And last but not the least, there is a proof in the debate that we are doing. Because Modi ji is so tall as a leader today that they know independently they can't win an election, and therefore they are coming together. I think that is QED, hence proved, as we used to study earlier. Now coming to Nawal Kishore ji. Nawal Kishore ji, आपने कहा हमने धोखा दिया। सबसे पहले तो ये देखने का नजरिया है। एक मूवी आई थी शहंशाह, अमिताभ बच्चन दोनों तरफ था। वो कहता है जहां से तुम देखते हो तुम्हें 6 दिखाई देता है, जहां से मैं देखता हूं 9 दिखाई देता है। टू द पीपल ऑफ द कंट्री, Bharatiya Janata Party can lose an ally after trying its best, but will never compromise with the core ideology of the party, and that is why abrogation of Article 370, Kartavya Path, vaccine for 220 crore Indians, which I already said. Now coming to the next part, what happened to Uddhav Thackere? Shiv Sena Shiv Sena ban gayi. शिव सेना भी आज जो है उद्धव ठाकरे के नाम से नहीं जानी जा रही। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में मामला चल रहा है। दिस शोज दैट इफ यू अलाइ विद द बीजेपी, इवन व्हेन वी आर ग्रेटर इन नंबर, लाइक विद नीतीश जी, वी मेड हिम द चीफ मिनिस्टर, वी फुलफिल्ड आवर प्रॉमिसेस एंड कमिटमेंट टू द अलायंस, बट यू पीपल cheat us, and that is why you are punished by the people of the country.
Well, Sir Riju Datta, before I end the debate, I just want to ask one small question. After the people of India have tasted 2 terms of the BJP led by Narendra Modi government, which has been a majority government and has given stability and policy making, whether you like it or not, you as the opposition can find fault with it. But they've seen that decision making. Do you think in 2024, coalitions will have a chance, especially coalitions that are led by the pan-India national party like the Congress?
Navika ji, let me be very clear. The entire BJP party is being overconfident because they think there is no alternative to Narendra Modi. It is a fact that Mr. Modi pulls around 4% votes in the entire India. It is out there, and they believe there is no alternative. But they also fail to believe that the India and the political parties of India, if they hold their own fort together by numbers, BJP can be defeated. But I have only 2 last comments to make before we end the debate. One, it is a miracle, it is an absolute miracle to me how my Prime Minister walks a straight line after BJP spokespersons butter him like this 24/7 on national debates. It is a miracle to me. And the second thing is, I believe Bharatiya Janata Party to at least minimum should give Padma Shri to Rahul Gandhi for making sure that BJP and Narendra Modi ji wins one election after the other. That's all.
Well then, if the opposition actually thinks Rahul Gandhi is the reason that the BJP wins elections, does that really give you any indication of which way coalition politics is going in 2024? That's the question, and let's leave it at that for the moment, because the pot is boiling and it is election time, and this pot will be on the boil over the next 8 to 10 months for sure, ahead of the elections of 2024. As I thank all the panelists joining me on debate number 1, On the other side, ladies and gentlemen, it was a big setback for Uddhav Thackere from the Supreme Court today as it refused to stay the Election Commission's order recognizing the Eknath Shinde faction as the real Shiv Sena and allocating to them the bow and arrow pole symbol. The court today made it clear to the Uddhav camp that it will not stay the Election Commission's order as the Shinde camp had already succeeded before the Election Commission. The court also said that it will not stay any takeover of offices by the Shinde camp. However, the Supreme Court refused to intervene in the matter related to bank accounts and property of the party, saying it will not go beyond the Election Commission's order. The matter will once again be heard in the apex court after 2 weeks, but today the Shinde camp says that it once again stands vindicated and that the Supreme Court order is a win for the real bow and arrow. Listen in to Maharashtra Chief Minister Mr. Shinde himself.
सुप्रीम कोर्टाकडे निवडणूक आयोगाच्या निकालावर विरोधी पक्षांनी स्थगिती मागितली होती. ती स्थगिती नाकारलेली आहे. शिवसेना आणि धनुष्यबाण निवडणूक आयोगाने घेतलेला निर्णय कायम ठेवलेला आहे. त्यामुळे आणखी जी काही पुढे सुनावणी होईल त्याच्यावर पुढे निर्णय होईल. परंतु आत्ताच्या परिस्थितीमध्ये जे निवडणूक आयोगाने दिलेला निर्णय शिवसेना पक्ष कुणाचा आणि धनुष्यबाण या बाबतीमध्ये त्यांची याचिका फेटाळलेली आहे.
Sharad Pawar once again slammed the BJP today, saying that what happened in Maharashtra was the classic example of misuse of institutions, and that really has been countered by the BJP, which came out and said that the top court is seized of the matter, and everybody is reacting only because they've got a rude shock from the Supreme Court. Joining me, Gaurav Bhatia continues to be with us. Lokesh Jindal also continues to be with us. Krishna Hegde, leader of the Shiv Sena Shinde camp, joins in. But my first question goes to Mr. Kishore Tiwari, leader of the Shiv Sena from the Uddhav Thackere camp. किशोर तिवारी जी, आज तो कोर्ट ने कोई रिलीफ नहीं दिया, तो जितना आपने बोला इलेक्शन कमीशन को, जितनी बातें बोली, आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो उससे इंप्रेस नहीं हुआ, तो आज कम से कम इलेक्शन कमीशन से माफी बनती है या नहीं?
नहीं, माफी क्या बनेगी. इस प्रकार के ऑर्डर देंगे. पर चंद्रचूड़ जी को लगा कि अभी हम मेरिट पर ही डिसाइड करेंगे और जल्दी में कोई इंटरिम स्टे वगैरह नहीं देंगे. तो अभी हमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट में लगता है कि चंद्रचूड़ जी ने जिस प्रकार से पूरी केस हैंडल की है तो सारा कुछ रिस्टोर हो जाएगा. लेकिन नाविका जी, एक बात मैं बता देता हूं कि ये टूलकिट जो है बीजेपी का, जिसमें ईडी, सीबीआई, इनकम टैक्स, उसके साथ अब इलेक्शन कमीशन ज्वाइन हो गया, ये मैं बता रहा हूं. तो इलेक्शन कमीशन के ज्वाइन होने से एक बात हो गई है कि दूसरे भी प्रादेशिक विपक्षी दल है उनको भी खतरा मंडरा रहा है. तो मुझे लगता है कहीं हमारी शिवसेना को विभाजित कर और छीन कर कहीं मोदी जी अपना चांस खो रहे हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है मुझे. तो हम तो तैयार है. हाँ, कोई भी निर्णय आए हम सब तैयार है. हमारी मानसिक.
मिस्टर गौरव भाटिया, किशोर तिवारी continues to target the election commission and the BJP government, despite the fact that the Supreme Court today has refused to put a stay on the election commission's order. So the first relief that they were expecting did not come through, yet politics of targeting continues.
Navika, it would not be wrong to say that Shiv Sena is now Shiv Sena. And when I say Shiv Sena, it is the Uddhav Thackere faction. Because the real Shiv Sena is under Eknath Shinde ji. The larger question that can be raised is, why don't you have faith in the Election Commission of India? Article 324 of the Constitution gives complete power to the Election Commission of India to decide such an issue. And Navika, they must be reminded that they went to the Supreme Court. They wanted that the proceeding before the Election Commission of India be stayed. The Supreme Court refused then once, and now today the Honorable Supreme Court in its wisdom a constitution bench said that we will not stay the order of the Election Commission of India. What the Shiv Sena, Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackerays spokesperson is saying, Navika, he's preempting a judgment in favor of the Uddhav faction. That is like casting aspersions. That is casting aspersions on the judiciary itself. How do you know which way the verdict will come? Now let me come to the politics of it. You remember, Navika, Uddhav Thackere,
all right, Kishore Tiwari raising an objection. I think you can spare them the unkind barbs of calling them the Shiv Sena. They have got a setback from the Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Gaurav Bhatia is the.
लोग आपको बता देता हूँ.
अरे ऐसी बात नहीं करना चाहिए आपने. सत्ता का इतना अहंकार अच्छा नहीं है ना. थोड़े दिन की बात है, बाद में आप भी विपक्ष में रहेंगे.
नोटी ठीक था.
चलिए गौरव भाटिया जी जवाब दे रहे हैं.
नोटी.
अरे क्या ये नोटी बोलना ठीक है क्या?
देखिए ऐसी बात नहीं करना चाहिए, वैसी बात नहीं करना चाहिए. ये तो वो किशोर तिवारी जी हैं. किशोर जी, मैं आपसे, आप तो मेरे साथी हैं, आप छोटे भाई भी लगते हैं, इतने अच्छे हैं. सुनिए मेरी बात. देखिए आपको याद है उखाड़ दिया, नोटी, तो ये सब आप मत ज्ञान दिया करिए. द पॉइंट इज सिंपल, नाविका. उद्धव ठाकरे led Shiv Sena at that time, had a pre-poll alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party. We got more seats than them, and the people of Maharashtra reposed their faith in this pre-poll alliance. What did Uddhav Thackeray do? Even Bala Sahab Thackeray, who is revered by us also, would not have ever thought that they will go and forge an alliance with the Vasuli Aghadi, Congress party and the NCP. And that is why the people and the leaders of the erstwhile Uddhav Shiv Sena lost faith in the leadership, and they decided to have the original Shiv Sena in the form that Bala Sahab Thackeray believed in.
नाविका जी एक बात है.
Absolutely. So let me get in Lokesh Jindal. एक मिनट किशोर तिवारी जी. Lokesh Jindal ji. Nobody played by the rules at all in this entire Maharashtra debacle. Alliance with the BJP, Shiv Sena gets its own ambitions up. You guys, whether it is NCP or the Congress party, run across because you sent a chance of making a government and get a taste of power, and you decided to live happily ever after. And then Eknath Shinde happened to Shiv Sena. So the chickens came home to roost. Lokesh Jindal now crying unfair, now saying ye bhasha nahi bolo, wo bhasha nahi bolo. After all that has been said by the Shiv Sena for the Election Commission, don't you think it sounds a little rich?
नाविका जी, अगर चोर को खांसी हो जाए तो वो जान से जाता है. The BJP, by splitting and stealing Shiv Sena, has cut its nose to spite its face, because the entire people of Maharashtra have seen what BJP is capable of doing and what it does. BJP has exposed itself, and there is going to be a massive empathy wave for Uddhav Thackeray now in the elections that are due to come. And let me tell you, in 1969 also there was a split within the Congress.
Lokesh Jindal says चोर को खांसी हो जाए तो वो जान से जाता है. चोर इस केस में कौन है? गौरव भाटिया जी.
देखिए नाविका जी, अन्यथा ना लेंगे, लेकिन चोरों के बारे में कांग्रेस के प्रवक्ता को तो पता होना स्वाभाविक है. एक ही परिवार है जिसने देश को लूटा है, 3 परिवार बेल पे बाहर है. और मैं तो इतना ही कहूंगा, रेस्ट aside, please don't do that. You are a younger brother, wait for your turn. I heard you. I am responding to your bab, please. Navika, the only thing I want to say is, for the Congress not to have faith in the Supreme Court and Election Commission of India is completely known to every Indian. They don't have faith in the Indian Army, the Prime Minister office, the Parliament, the Supreme Court, the ECI, the CAG. They only have faith in one leader called Rahul Gandhi. Nobody else. They don't even have faith in you, Navika. The media has collapsed according to Rahul Gandhi. So I need not say much on this.
Well, Krishna Hegde ji, I want to ask you straightforward. Is this battle now over? टॉर्च के सिंबल से भी एक बाई इलेक्शन उद्धव ठाकरे कैंप जीता है, तो क्या एकनाथ शिंदे जी समझ सकते हैं इस वक्त के पूरी बाजी उनके हाथ में आ गई है?
Navika ji, firstly I would like to take objection to what Gaurav Bhatia said. He's a senior spokesperson, but to call any party Shiv Sena is not the very right thing to do. This is a party founded by our late leader, Sammanya Hindu Hriday Samrat Balasaheb Thackere ji, and today also he is still our leader. Having said this, I must tell you that the Andheri East by-election was a by-election where we did not put up a candidate because our late colleague Mr. Ramesh Latke had expired, and as a respect to his family we did not put up a candidate. In spite of that, let me tell you, the next time we will be contesting the Andheri East by-election and we will win it by a huge margin. Thirdly, I would also like to tell you that in 2019 Uddhav Thackeray ji fought with the Hindutva ideology along with the BJP, and for the last 25 years the Shiv Sena has been doing so. But after 2019, after the elections were won, when the people of Maharashtra gave a firm mandate to the Hindutva ideology, Uddhav Thackeray ji backed out and joined hands with the Congress and the NCP, which you will find it very difficult in 2024 to come back and say that I am still a Hindutva ideology person, but I am together with the Congress. That will not work, and the people of Maharashtra are looking at this, what has happened. They are supporting us all the way, and therefore
किशोर तिवारी, सिंबल नहीं गया, आइडियोलॉजी भी गई, पहचान भी गया, यही कह रहे हैं हेगड़े साहब, मानते हैं इस बात को?
नहीं, ये देखो, कृष्णा हेगड़े मेरे अच्छे दोस्त है और अभी थोड़े दिन की बात है, 7-8 महीने के बाद टूल किट इनएक्टिव हो जाएगी तो हमारे साथ लौट आएंगे सब लोग। हाँ, आप बीजेपी का ये पूरा मास्टर प्लान है, हमारा टारगेट बीजेपी है।
All right, the indications of another volte face coming in from Kishore Tiwari. Well, is Maharashtra politics going to be in this topsy-turvy condition till the elections next year? Well, who knows? But for the moment, it is a setback for the Uddhav Thackeray camp. What happens in the Supreme Court further on this case? We'll wait and watch. Thank you very much to all my panelists, and thank you viewers for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night and be safe.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। इनसाइड द बॉक्स यू गेट दिस लिटिल पेपर बॉक्स एज वेल, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है। लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको। यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है। यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक। अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं। उफ, वेरी वाइब्रेंट एंड पेपी येलो कलर। Just like the box, the smartphone also boasts the combination of black, or call it dark gray, along with yellow. और कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग डिजाइन आपको फ्रेम्स पर भी दिखेगा। जो कलर आपको यहाँ कैमरा मॉड्यूल पर दिख रहा है, पीछे ये जो पैच पर दिख रहा है, वही आपको उसी कलर का फ्रेम दिखाई देगा विद येलो एक्सेंट्स। वेट की बात करें तो अच्छा है, लाइट वेट है, और यहाँ पे जो येलो है दिस इज लिटिल बिट डल, नॉट एज वाइब्रेंट एज द बॉक्स और प्रॉपर येलो। वैसे तो मैट फिनिशिंग है, लेकिन ये जो कलर है इसके अंदर हल्का सा ग्लिटर आपको दिखाई देता है। फ्लैशी नहीं है, अच्छा है, इसको साइड में रखते हैं, अभी ऑन भी करेंगे और उसके बाद स्मार्टफोन के बारे में बात करेंगे। पहले देखते हैं और क्या आपको बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई देगा। यू ऑल्सो गेट अ 67 वॉट चार्जिंग ब्रेक। I really liked how they have written 67 watt here. बहुत ही बढ़िया फॉन्ट लग रहा है, कुछ डिफरेंट देखने को मिला, वरना ज्यादातर यहाँ पर नॉर्मली लिख देते हैं 67 और 80। तो ये जो इसने हल्का सा छोटा सा अटेम्प्ट किया है विद द डिजाइन, आई रियली लाइक। साथ में आपको मिलता है टाइप सी केबल विद ऑरेंज एक्सेंट्स, जैसे कि आप यहाँ देख पा रहे होंगे। इसको भी साइड में रखते हैं एंड दैट्स इट, दैट्स ऑल यू गेट इनसाइड द बॉक्स। अब बात करते हैं स्मार्टफोन के बारे में, जरा मुझे इसे ऑन करने दीजिए। फोन को यहाँ पर सेटअप करना मैंने शुरू कर दिया है, जैसे कि आप देख पाएंगे दिस फोन रन्स ऑन MIUI 14। साथ इसको हम सेट करते रहेंगे और फोन के बारे में बात करते रहेंगे, बिकॉज यही तो सबसे ज्यादा बढ़िया पॉइंट होता है जब भी आप नया फोन सेटअप करते हैं, द फीलिंग ऑफ सेटिंग अप एंड शिफ्टिंग टू अ न्यू स्मार्टफोन। तो यहाँ पर इसको सेटअप कर रहे हैं। टिल दैट टाइम लेट मी टॉक अबाउट द
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. In a historic move, Seattle became the first city in America to ban caste discrimination. This after the Seattle City Council added caste to its anti-discrimination laws. The proposal made by council member Shama Sawant was approved by a 6-1 vote on Tuesday and was hailed as a massive win for equality and dignity. But this has also come in for sharp criticism from Hindu Americans as a move to malign a specific community. In a charged atmosphere, the Hindu American Foundation wrote to Seattle City Attorney against the inclusion of caste in the non-discrimination policy and said that it unfairly singles out and targets an entire community on the basis of their national origin and ancestry for disparate treatment. They also called the move a negative implication of an entire ethnic minority, that is, people of Indian descent.
The law allows us to now speak, talk about things that are wrong. Without that, there's a fear of retaliation, and people do not want to talk about it. So, which is why we consider this as a really big moment, because nowhere around the world such an ordinance has been passed outside of India.
The basis of the law itself is wrong. If you pass a law based on certain issues that happens. I wanted to know how many cases even registered or logged with the law enforcement in Seattle. There is none. Hearsay stories and fabricated stories from here and the data that was provided by dubious organizations like Equality Lab.
The present government should also learn from the city like Seattle that inspiration and acknowledging what Baba Sahib had been preaching and teaching. Present government in India, when they came into power in 2018, they diluted the act that was the law, Prevention of Atrocities Act.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So we are here for the long haul, to make sure that we protect our Hindu human rights as well as our culture and traditions, like all other indigenous traditions across the world. Ours is the only living, standing, practicing cultural tradition.
Now, it was also pointed out that this kind of law hasn't been brought in for any other community or ethnic minority and doesn't really have any empirical data to prove that caste discrimination in the United States is widespread. So it all boils down to this. Has the Seattle law taken a huge step in the direction of parity, or will it end up promoting prejudice?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
us take this straight across to our guest joining us now, Suraj Jengre, author, and Suhag Shukla from the Hindu American Foundation. She is the co-founder and ED of the foundation. Suraj Jengre, let me ask you first. You have hailed this as a very timely and good move. What was the need for a law like this to be brought in?
I think, Padmaja, we have to assess the history of South Asians in America. Since late 19th century, there has been arrival of Indians of various hues and colors and various languages. And ever since, and especially from 1905 onwards, there has been a surge within the white supremacist Republic of America for the Indian community to adjust. And what they did is effectively they provided a space for people to exist alongside their superior caste identity assimilated into the racialization. Now what that did was that created a certain archetype of a Indian, or so to say, South, or a brown person. I mean, the brown people are discriminated for wearing turbans, for practicing their faith and so forth. And it's not related to one faith, it's across. It's just what your nationality meant. And then what we have is down the line Civil Rights Act and post-Civil Rights Act. Many of the educated Indians who went to America to pursue various professional life and studies, they settled, and what we do is, like, we have seen experiences of deep caste-based uncertainties that existed in the community because it was operating as a hegemonic, homogeneous whole. But then there were also people who were from the marginalized, oppressed caste who didn't have adequate space to express themselves and operate as equal because they had to assimilate and adjust because of the dominance of a certain character of what we have, a caste composition. And this by the way, is across the faith. It's not one faith. It's a multi-faith that's coming out of it, because caste has contaminated, of course, every other faith that we have seen from this land. And so this kind of experiences of marginalization has taken over several decades, and when we look at the history of late 19th century, 100 years later, today what it does is it bans, it outlaws. Nobody can now discriminate anybody by the virtue of what one would identify as caste.
But you're talking about, sorry to interrupt, but you're talking about individual experience. Is there any empirical data to show that there's a kind of discrimination that is so rampant that a law is needed to stop it?
Indeed, I mean, that's how any political process in America happens. You have to have an empirical position, and there are multiple data who speak multiple languages and multiple, when I say languages, I don't mean to say linguistic as such, but multiple tones of what discrimination in this case is actually meant. And backing up with this empirical proposition, there have been many active civil liberty groups who have collected testimonials from within the public across the caste to really come out with a cogent proposal that this should not exist in a democratic society like America that has a multiculturalism and multi-religious kind of faith-based recognition.
Okay. So Suhag Shukla, one, this is not targeted at any one religion. Two, people have lived experience. Yet why do you fear that this is only going to end up demonizing, in a way, Indians / more specifically the Hindu community?
So first, let's just talk about the empirical data. The empirical data, there's one leading survey by the Carnegie Endowment for Peace that has surveyed 1,000 people of Indian American origin, and it found that while discrimination on the basis of national origin, color, religion, and gender were faced by at least 50% of the respondents, caste-based discrimination was exceedingly rare. We're talking about something less than 5%. Even 5%, I would argue, is one too many. But the point is that the way the American laws are set up to provide the broadest umbrella of protection against discrimination by using what's called facially neutral categories. That means that no particular group is then portrayed as inherently bigoted or inherently and always the perpetrator or inherently and always the victim. It's these facially neutral and generally applicable categories that have provided protection without demonizing any one group. Now, caste is a striking departure from that. From 6th grade onwards in this country, caste is taught as something that is inherent to Hinduism as well as to Indian society. And it presents Indian society in the most reductive manner possible, as if Indian society is divided into 4 groups with priests lording over it, and as if there's some sort of system that then is ossified in history from time immemorial. It presents Indian people as exceptionally bigoted, and it's beyond just religion. What the South Asian activists who have driven these policies don't realize is that they have scored a self-goal. What they have done is essentially demonized all South Asians as somehow being deeply problematic. Now, keep in mind, we are less than 2% of the American population, that now we need some special law that's going to ethnically profile us and police us in a manner that no other community is. And this means people of all caste backgrounds or none that will be seen as suspect as a result of these laws. The fact of the matter is that there were already categories like ancestry that have provided cover to other intra-community differences like tribe or clan amongst other ethnic communities. So this addition of caste is a striking departure from legal precedent.
We have no choice, Padmaja, unfortunately. For example, my experiences in America, in UK. In UK, I had like a Brahmin roommate assaulted me physically. And this is what happened in Birmingham. And I went to Birmingham police as a student. I was a law student, and when I went there, the police just told me, I was telling them that this was a hatred that was directed against me by a fellow Indian student who belonged to a Brahmin community, and I was a Dalit, and we had already established that. She couldn't do nothing about it. She just told me to just go back, because she couldn't figure out how to place this caste. It's not about imposition, it's about how one can. It's our last name, Padmaja. Your last name, my last name connotes our caste location. We are not imposing upon it. We are carrying it without properly understanding and accounting to it.
Okay, so Shukla, affirmative action, what do you have to fear if you're doing nothing wrong?
I think this is obfuscating the issue. The example of men and women, the fact is that the way American laws work is that they say gender. That means if there is a man working in an all-female company and those women are creating a hostile environment for him, the equal protection laws provide that individual protection. They're not defining that women are only and always the victim and men are only and always the perpetrator. That is a key difference between how American laws work and how Indian laws work. Now, if Professor Yangde faced this sort of situation, I would be the first to come out and support him, because that law enforcement officer clearly doesn't understand the law. There is something called intra-community discrimination. Amongst African Americans, we see this, where light-skinned African Americans or dark-skinned African Americans oftentimes complain about being discriminated against by light-skinned African Americans. They don't have separate categories. It just falls under race or color. In that same way, if someone of Indian origin discriminates against Professor Yangde, or in the flip side, if Professor Yangde discriminates against someone else on the basis of their caste, the existing policies protect against that, because you are treating someone differently as a result of their ancestry. There's no presumption of higher or lower in the way American laws work.
But Suhag Shukla is saying there are already anti-discrimination.
Okay. Let me just say,
yes, come in.
Yeah, the reason in Cisco the investigator couldn't get around is because the evidence of discrimination is not there. You have 2 people who went to IIT, and one, the manager, who's being accused of caste-based discrimination, actively recruited this other classmate of his who self-identifies as Dalit or SC. If there was caste-based animus there, why would he have even recruited him? Not only that, but John Doe had a starting package of several $1 million in stock grants and was amongst one of the highest paid engineers at Cisco. The case is still pending, and the reason that we haven't seen anything 3 years down the line is because I think that the facts there are really shaky. So let's, and do we want to discourage that? So if the manager who's from a different caste background goes and recruits someone from SC, is that casteism? If Professor Yangde is tweeting that Hindus are sick people or that Brahmins are whatever else, is that casteism? Because the only one who's bringing up caste right now seems to be you. The Indian American community has transcended linguistic differences, other social background differences. They've built temples together, they've built community organizations together, and have peacefully coexisted where these types of things are not relevant anymore.
Okay, finally answer this. Will this allegation of casteism cut both ways? If somebody says, oh, these people are dirty Brahmins, does that also qualify as caste discrimination and should be prosecuted?
Now, it's interesting, Padmaja, that Esquire Shukla is already predicting about the case of Cisco. I mean, I think her legal acumen will allow her to assess and look at the conditions before really...
It's based on the case filings. You can see it as public record available.
Before really coming out. And by the way, the comment on Hindus are sick people of India came from Dr. Ambedkar's Annihilation of Caste, which was, of course, one of the monumental treatises that's now taught across the world. And now, going back to the idea of caste, what we need to understand, it's a graded hierarchy, and it exists among, and I'll tell you an example of a Muslim woman from Hyderabad who I met, who was in Massachusetts. And she had a very difficult life because, of course, there were caste differences between her and the in-laws, and of course she had to seek divorce. But the case for her was not just about getting a divorce from her partner, from her husband, ex-husband. It was also about what biradari they belong to. So it's not just about the case of it's applying to a Hindu community or Indian community. What we need to also understand is caste cuts across the disciplines of what we today identify as ethnic backgrounds. It could also, there are 170 organizations that have supported this, and it has really, sailed through. What necessarily applies is that if one is discriminating against another community, and that doesn't matter whichever rank they belong to, is equally accountable.
No. So again, I will come back to my original question. Will it also be considered casteism if somebody says that you are a bigoted Brahmin or you are a dirty Hindu? Does that also count as casteist behavior?
No, it will. It will, because American law does not presume oppressor status or oppressed status. That is something that is unique to Indian law. So all of the, so many of the activists that were promoting this, I mean, at the steps of City Hall, they are engaging in hateful rhetoric about one community. If they are employers or if they are business owners and they continue to engage in that sort of rhetoric and a guest from that particular background comes in, yes, absolutely, they would have a grounds for filing a complaint. But the fact is that you wouldn't have needed caste as a category to file that complaint, because Seattle city law already bans ancestry-based discrimination. So what is ancestry? Ancestry is your background, your social background. So it's already covered without targeting all South Asians. Now South Asians are going to be looked at, regardless of religion, as suspect and inherently bigoted. You have drawn attention to 2% of our community and made us even further otherized than we already were in a majority white country.
Final question I'm going to ask you. In addition to the caricaturization that she's talking about and being looked at with suspicion, largely there has been a sort of image of upper caste Hindus, smash Brahminical patriarchy, of perpetuating a certain kind of anti-women attitudes, anti-minority, anti-Dalit. Is this not going to accentuate that caricaturization?
I think, Padmaja, see, first thing first, we should not, again, what our fellow opponents are doing, unfortunately, is they're equating caste with South Asia, which is really looking at how caste is visualized through their own self. Now, if you come to our part of the world, that works very differently, right? And so what has been held as a synonym to caste is looked at within a certain Savarna caste people who are afraid Because if you're talking about Hindus, it's not just Savarna Hindus. There are people across caste who practice Hindus, the backward caste, and various people from various hierarchies within the caste system. So does it happens. You see that in Sikh community. You see the separate churches that are also operate also in America. So does you see what happens within the Muslim community. Now let me tell you, it is to all other groups except the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the nationalist rhetorics that are operating as an outshoot of this government that are operating there in the US are the ones who are protesting. But the Muslim groups...
Because they fear being singled out.
No, but the Muslim groups who also stand a chance if it is the Sikh groups, the Christian groups have not opposed this.
Suhag Shukla, why aren't Sikhs and Muslims opposing?
Why? Because they are part of a nexus of anti-Hindu activism. You bring up the current government, I'm sorry, but the Prime Minister comes from an OBC background. The current President comes from a Dalit background. The former President comes from an SD background.
No,
so this idea of trying to present Hindus as somehow fragile or opposing this policy because we want to continue to discriminate, I think is obfuscating the facts. Now, if you look at who's engaging in all these activities, they are the same people who attack Hindus routinely and who deny.
Who are Hindus for you? Professor Yengde is asking, who are Hindus for you?
Who are Hindus for me? Anyone who identifies as a Hindu. Anyone who believes in religious pluralism, who believes that every individual has inherent divinity within them and that we are meant to transcend these outward differences and treat one another with compassion and dignity.
Hindus
that
for
is a
Human
Hindu.
Rights Group.
Hindus for Human Rights Group. Those Hindus are also Hindus. And they are opposed to you.
Yeah, they're Hindus. I have never said that they're not Hindus, but they are sadly mistaken in promoting a law that now asks Seattle administrators, one of the whitest cities, by the way, in the United States, to now police brown people. That is the end result of this law. And it's not going to matter whether you're Dalit or Brahmin or Rajput or whatever else. It doesn't matter. We have now put a target on all brown people of all religious backgrounds. And as far as equating caste with South Asia, it's not the opponents who are doing it. It's the council member who did it. It's public school textbooks who do it. It's the media that does it. So in order to try to fix the amendment, because it was targeting South Asians, what did council member Savant do? She also added Southeast Asians and African communities. And so all these new communities have been added to the exclusion of white European people. Let's keep a perspective on this. You have targeted people on the basis of their color and immigrant status.
Okay.
I sympathize with the emotion of Esquire Shukla, because she's somebody who is born and brought up in America, and she's of course proud of her heritage. She's of course proud of her background and ancestors, and she has to, because she lives in a white Christian dominated republic where her minority status makes her vulnerable. Now I understand that emotion. Now what she's mistaken with that is not everything that comes from her heritage land or ancestry has to be a 24 karat. There is also a lot of complicated story that comes with this kind of narrative and espousing of our. Now if it is maintained, now we have to understand caste cuts across. Caste is not just Hindu. When it comes to caste, is basically a structure that has a strict hierarchy where occupational status is maintained by the womb that your mother gives you, the identity, and you carry it along through your birth to death. Now when you come to South Asia, it becomes Brahminical, and in modern context, Brahminical Hindu caste system. If you go to Africa, if you go to Nigeria, there is a caste system within Igbo land. If you go to Kenya, there is a Wata caste system. If you go to Senegal, there is another caste system. So in Japan, there are Burakumin people. So caste as a hierarchical system does exist. So what we need to understand, that there are people who are outcast, who do not have the same right and dignity, irrespective that the constitutional values protect you. They don't filter down to these communities because they are so marginalized that we need to create additional protection mechanism. And I think if they are really committed to the values of Hindu and the dharma that really sees other person as sentient, as being that we need to protect and we need to support, what we would like to see is that the privileged people would forego and give us the commitment that what they have done is for in the service of the marginalized. And you will not see the people who are opposed, who want caste are the people who are victims of caste, Padmaja. These are not the people who are privileged of caste. And the lobbying that we have seen within the Ambedkarite groups that we have seen, Ambedkar International Center, Ambedkar International Mission, Ambedkar King Studies, these are all Ambedkarite groups, and these are the people who have gone there, who have collected, who have put their heart out, bringing their children.
No, but is it entirely fair to say that people who are opposing this particular legislation are pro-casteism? There are people who are saying that while any violence or discrimination is abhorrent and must be opposed, this is broad stroke generalization and painting people in a certain way. Anyhow, our dharma, as it were, was to put out both points of view in front of you. How this is going to have a rollover effect, if at all, we'll be keeping a close watch. For the time being though, thank you very much Suhag Shukla and Professor Suraj Jengre for joining me here. After successive political setbacks, a lot is at stake for Team Uddhav when it comes to the outcome of their petitions in the Supreme Court. But at least today, the Apex Court offered no succor to the Thackerays as it refused to stay the Election Commission's order from Friday. This means that the Shiv Sena name and election symbol will remain with Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. The court also said that it will not stay any takeover of party offices, party property by the Shinde camp. Jubilant after round 1 of a legal victory, Eknath Shinde and his allies today claimed further vindication and predicted the end of the Thackeray clan.
कोर्टाकडे निवडणूक आयोगाच्या निकालावर विरोधी पक्षांनी स्थगिती मागितली होती, ती स्थगिती नाकारलेली आहे. शिवसेना आणि धनुष्यबाण निवडणूक आयोगाने घेतलेला निर्णय कायम ठेवलेला आहे. त्यामुळे आणखी जी काही पुढे सुनावणी होईल त्याच्यावर पुढे निर्णय होईल. परंतु आत्ताच्या परिस्थितीमध्ये जे निवडणूक आयोगाने दिलेला निर्णय शिवसेना पक्ष कुणाचा आणि धनुष्यबाण या बाबतीमध्ये त्यांची याचिका फेटाळलेली आहे.
शिंदे गुट के वकीलों ने ये अंडरटेकिंग दिया है कि हम किसी तरह का नोटिस डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन का या वो लीगल कोई भी नोटिस हम इशू नहीं करेंगे. कोर्ट में अंडरटेकिंग दिया है, कोर्ट ने ऑर्डर दे दिए. अगर कोई उसका वायलेशन करता है तो इट अमाउंट्स टू कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, so what happens next to the Uddhav Thackere camp? Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, O.P. Rawat, former election commissioner of India, Shailesh Pandey, leader of the Uddhav Thackere faction of the Shiv Sena, the Uddhav Bal Thackere Sena, and Chandrasekhar Jha, also a supporter of Mr. Uddhav Thackere. Let me first ask you, Sanju Verma, do you think that this is a win? Because it's not 100%. They've also said that no disqualification can take place for Mr. Uddhav Thackeray's men and women.
You know, Padmaja, I think it is a great win because Justice Chandrachud very categorically said they have already won before the ECI. We cannot stay the order. I'm quoting ad verbatim. So you know, the symbol, the bow and arrow symbol continues to be with Eknath Shinde. That is a huge victory. Point number 2, if you notice, I was reading through the entire, proceedings. When Kapil Sibal said that let status quo be maintained because there is a fear that bank accounts and properties of the erstwhile Uddhav Thackere faction may be attached and seized by the Eknath Shinde faction, Justice Chandrachud clearly said this order does not contain anything related to bank accounts or properties. ECI was deciding the symbol order.
Yeah.
This does not form part of the order, and if you want to discuss this, please explore other avenues and other remedies under law. So that is very important. Point number 3, I think, which is the most important and which has received very little media attention, Padmaja, is that the entire premise of the Uddhav Thackere group, including their spokespersons who come on your channel and I've heard them, they've said that as per the 2018 constitution of the Shiv Sena, you know, the MLAs who desert Uddhav Thackere and join XYZ, in this case Eknath Shinde, you know, they summarily cease to become MLAs.
what Neeraj Kaul, who was today the counsel for Eknath Shinde, said. He said, if you look at the new constitution of Shiv Sena framed in 2018 versus the earlier one of 1999, the Shiv Sena constitution is very dictatorial and the party affairs cannot be completely divorced from legislative matters. To say that, the party matters are different, the legislative matters are different. So please continue to give us the symbol of bow and arrow. As far as, people leaving us and going are concerned, that is a different matter altogether. Basically, what I'm trying to say in layman's language is, the Uddhav Thackere faction tried to play down the fact that 73% of Uddhav Thackeray's erstwhile MLAs deserted him on the grounds of incompetence and lack of faith in his leadership and jumped ship to the Eknath Shinde camp.
Okay, Mr. Chandrasekhar Jha, no urgent hearing yesterday. On Friday, symbol and name taken away. And today also, the Supreme Court did not buy into any of your arguments. It's pretty clear what the writing on the wall is.
See, still it is not pretty clear, because if you see that this order contains a status quo between both the parties, and particularly if you see the split which has been brought by Eknath Shinde camp under the instructions of BJP, is total destruction of the mandate given by the people to the Shiv Sena.
Sir, how is it a status quo? With the greatest of respect,
by any means.
Sir, the symbol has been taken away and the Supreme Court refused to reverse that. The Supreme Court, if it thought fit, could have totally stayed the order or reversed it. The symbol and the name stay with Eknath Shinde. How is that status quo?
Status quo with regard to the any instructions from the party between both the parties with regard to the disqualification or any of the rules being framed against the parties against each other. So
exactly.
That is the status quo basically.
But status quo goes against what Mr. Uddhav Thackere wanted.
Has not been stayed.
He wanted it to be stayed. He wanted the symbol back. He's not getting the symbol. He's not getting the name.
Exactly.
Ultimately, it's about who gets the symbol and the name.
That the Honorable Supreme Court will decide.
But today they refuse to say anything.
That is subjudice matter. The matter will be heard out by the Supreme Court.
But Supreme Court today said very clearly, how can we stay the Election Commission order?
Not stayed, but it cannot be stayed further. It cannot be stayed further. You cannot rely at this moment. Let the matter be heard out, and then it can be decided whether the Supreme Court will stay this order or not.
Okay, Mr. Rawat, as a former election commissioner, do you think that the EC erred? Because ultimately it all boils down to that. And the Uddhav Thackere camp is saying that you ignored all the hundreds and thousands of Karyakartas who are supporting us. You just went by a few turncoat legislators. Did the EC err?
Actually, Election Commission was seized of this matter when two factions complained against each other, and Election Commission, after realizing that there has been division, they wanted both the factions to produce the evidence in their favor, and then applied all tests possible. Came to the conclusion that material on record doesn't give a viable solution through any other test except for the legislative majority. And legislative majority being in favor of Mr. Eknath Shinde, Election Commission decided in their favor.
Shailesh Pandey, here's the former election commissioner saying that जो EC ने किया है वही इसका result हो सकता था, and today the Supreme Court also pretty much seemed to agree. And what is worse कि अब chances are कि सारी शाखाएं भी जाएंगी उद्धव ठाकरे जी के पास से, क्योंकि कोर्ट ने तो बोल दिया है कि भाई आपका टेक ओवर पे कोई रोक नहीं है.
पद्मजा जी, मुझे पूरा वक्त दीजिएगा आप सबसे पहले तो. देखिए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अभी जो भी बात कही है, उन्होंने ये साथ में ये भी कहा है कि 2 हफ्ते के बाद हम आपकी दोनों साइड की पूरी बात सुनेंगे. आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने न हमारी न शिंदेगढ़ की किसी की पूरी बात नहीं सुनी. 2 हफ्ते के बाद वो हमारी पूरी बातें सुनेंगे. और उसके साथ साथ उन्होंने ये कहा है कि शिंदेगढ़ अब किसी भी एमएलएस का या किसी का भी डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन नहीं करेगा. कोई भी व्हिप शिंदेगढ़ की तरफ से जारी नहीं किया जाएगा. तो ये कहीं ना कहीं हमारे लिए एक राहत की बात है. रही बात जो संजू वर्मा जी कर रही थी कि 2018 में कि जो वहाँ पर ठहराव हुआ था राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारिणी की वो अवैध है, तो उसका वीडियो हमारे अरविंद सावंत जी जो सांसद है, पूर्व केंद्रीय मंत्री हैं, उन्होंने ट्वीट करके ये बताया है और हम वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी हम प्रस्तुत करेंगे कि उसका पूरा वीडियोग्राफी किस तरह से 2018 में जो मीटिंग हुई थी राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारिणी की हमारी शिवसेना की, उसमें सारे प्रूफ दिए जाएंगे। और दूसरी बात, चुनाव आयोग को यह बात जरूर सुननी चाहिए थी कि 22 लाख से ज्यादा जो शपथ पत्र है, एफिडेविट है, वो शिवसेना उद्धव बाला साहब ठाकरे गठ की तरफ से प्रस्तुत किया गया था चुनाव आयोग
पी रावत साहब ने इसी बात का जवाब दिया है कि जो लेजिस्लेटिव स्ट्रेंथ थी दैट वाज द अल्टीमेट डिसाइडर। मिस्टर रावत, कैन यू रिस्पॉन्ड? जो शपथ पत्र दिए गए हैं 22 लाख कार्यकर्ताओं के, उनको क्यों नजरअंदाज किया गया? व्हाई वर ऑल द लेटर्स ऑफ सपोर्ट बाय ऑल द कार्यकर्ताज इग्नोर्ड बाय द ईसी? मिस्टर रावत,
यही बात तो
शेयर नंबर्स 22 लाख को स्क्रूटिनाइज करने के लिए इलेक्शन कमीशन के पास कोई वेयरविदॉल ही नहीं है, इसलिए उन पर रिलाई करने का कोई गुंजाइश नहीं है और वो टेस्ट वायबल नहीं रहता।
वो टेस्ट वायबल नहीं रहता, संजू वर्मा। एंड द सेकंड थिंग इज, शैलेश पांडे कह रहे हैं कि चलिए आज आपको बहुत खुशी हो रही है, 2 हफ्ते बाद शायद सिंबल लेके वापस दे दिया जाए उद्धव ठाकरे को, इसमें कोई इतनी बड़ी जीत नहीं है आपकी।
ओके, यू नो आई जस्ट वांट टू से वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग। 22 लाख एफिडेविट की बात हुई यहां पर, जस्ट सिंपल अरिथमेटिक एंड सिंपल कॉमन सेंस। आई नो, कमिंग फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र, आई कैन से दिस विथ फुल कॉन्फिडेंस, एवरी असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी basically has an electorate of 5.5 to 6 lakh people. Now if 40 MLAs, Padmaja, have jumped ship from the Uddhav Thackere camp to Eknath Shinde's camp, then what does it mean? It means if you take 5.5 lakh per assembly, it means 2.2 crore people जिनका पहले फेथ उद्धव ठाकरे के साथ था, आज एकनाथ शिंदे गुट के साथ है। If you take the average assembly constituency electorate population at 6 lakh, it means 2.4 crore people have reposed faith in एकनाथ शिंदे। कहां आपके 22 लाख एफिडेविट, कहां यहां पर ऑलमोस्ट 2.5 करोड़?
शैलेश पांडे जी, 22 लाख एफिडेविट से उन्होंने 2.5 करोड़ इलेक्टोरेट का आपको आंकड़ा दे दिया है। शैलेश पांडे
जी, मैं आंकड़ा बताता हूं कि हमारे शिवसेना के जो राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारिणी है उसके 160 सदस्य और जो संगठनात्मक सदस्य हैं वो 2,82,975 और उसके साथ जो प्राथमिक सदस्य हैं उनके 19,41,815 सदस्यों के, यानी कुल 22,24,950 सदस्यों के एफिडेविट हमने चुनाव आयोग में प्रस्तुत किए हुए हैं। और उसके साथ साथ जो विधायक चुनाव लड़े थे, जो विधायक जीत के आए वो तो है हमारे साथ, जो चुनाव में हारे थे ऐसे भी कई विधायक के, एमपी के या जिला परिषद के, ग्राम पंचायत के, महानगर पालिका के, नगर पालिका के भी जो सदस्य रहे हैं उनके भी एफिडेविट्स हैं।
सर, आप 22 लाख की बात कर रहे हैं, वो कह रहे हैं कि भाई 2 करोड़ लोगों ने एकनाथ शिंदे गुट के विधायकों को वोट दिया हुआ है। 2 करोड़ मतदाता एकनाथ शिंदे के साथ है इस वक्त।
आप 22 लाख पे कहां अटके हुए हैं? तो
उससे ज्यादा मतदाता तो हमारे भी साथ है, क्योंकि जितने भी सांसद हैं, विधायक हैं, ग्राम पंचायत के सदस्य हैं और महानगर पालिका के नगर सेवक हैं, इनको भी जिन्होंने चुना हुआ है, शिवसेना हमारे गठ के जो लोगों को चुना हुआ है, वो भी तो करोड़ों में जनता है।
संजू वर्मा, संजू वर्मा
बात कर रही है।
Okay, Padmaja, I want to say one very interesting thing to you. If you notice, Uddhav Thackeray camp was being today basically the counsels for Kapil Sibal and Abhishek Singhvi. I'll just quickly finish, and I'll tell you why the Supreme Court will not stay and why Eknath Shinde will continue to get the bow and arrow symbol. I say this with a reasonable amount of confidence. If you remember, in July 2021, Mamata Banerjee had appealed against Suvendu Adhikari, saying कि नहीं, नंदीग्राम से मैं जीती हूँ, सुवेंदु अधिकारी हारे हैं। Suvendu Adhikari had appealed to the Supreme Court, saying he wants the decision pertaining to Nandigram to be shifted from Kolkata High Court to some other place because he's not confident of getting a proper judgment. And Supreme Court said, if the Kolkata High Court, whatever it decides, that will be the final judgment, we will not intervene. Thankfully, Kolkata High Court also said Suvendu Adhikari won, albeit by a thin margin of 1,965 votes. My simple logic is this.
Okay.
Already Delhi High Court refused to intervene. पहले उद्धव ठाकरे ने petition Delhi High Court में डाली थी. Last year अक्टूबर 2022 में उद्धव ठाकरे ने अंधेरी बाइपोल के पहले, अंधेरी इस बाइपोल के पहले बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट में पिटीशन डाली थी. बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट ने भी इंटरवीन करने से मना कर दिया. माय सिंपल लॉजिक इज, वंस आर्टिकल 324 के तहत द इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया हैज सेड द बो एंड एरो सिंबल नाउ बिलोंग्स टू एकनाथ शिंदे. I will be surprised if the Supreme Court overturns that. The bow and arrow symbol will continue to be with Eknath Shinde.
Okay, let's not prejudge what the Supreme Court will do, but as a final word, because this is another constitutional question on which there is a lot of dispute, Mr. Rawat, when you have MLA's very legitimacy being challenged in the Supreme Court, the matter is being heard, the plea is that these MLAs who switched camps should be disqualified. Can the support of those very MLAs for Mr. Shinde be taken into consideration by the Election Commission?
As a precursor to division of party, such things are very common. That the opposing camp will start disqualifying other camps' MLAs. So these things are taken in that light. When Election Commission decides, they decide under Symbols Allocation and Reservation Order of 1968, para 15, whereas the defection, disqualification, all these are governed by anti-defection law under the 10th schedule of Constitution and other respective laws, and the forum for adjudication of those issues is different. So these two proceedings are very different and do not come in the way of each other. Election Commission has taken that route and they have decided according to the Symbols Order.
Okay, we're going to leave it at that. You've heard the constitutional position, you've heard the political position. 2 weeks later, doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani, hopefully. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me. Thanks for watching.
mm एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह. यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की. नमस्ते टाइम्स ड्राइव फैमिली, आई एम क्रांति संभव. वेलकम टू द फर्स्ट ड्राइव रिव्यू ऑफ BMW 3 सीरीज GL यानी ग्रैंड लिमोजीन, जो ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर 3 सीरीज से ज्यादा लंबी है व्हील बेस के हिसाब से. कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए, और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम का, ज्यादा स्पेस का, वो दावा पूरा हो पा रहा है या नहीं. सो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस कार, सबसे पहले टाइम्स ड्राइव के बारे में आपसे बात करता हूं या अपील करता हूं. अभी तक अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल को, और सोशल मीडिया पर बाकी जो भी हैंडल्स हैं वहां पर टाइम्स ड्राइव के नाम से आप सर्च करें, उसे भी फॉलो करें. लेटेस्ट खबरें आपको मिलेंगी, और timesdrive.in है हमारा वेबसाइट. वहां पर तो लेटेस्ट खबरों के अलावा डिस्काउंट्स और जो स्पाई पिक्स हैं, आने वाली गाड़ियां हैं, उन सब के बारे में खबरें मिलेंगी. तो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस स्टोरी. हम बात करते हैं BMW 3GL की. क्रांति संभव रिपोर्टिंग फ्रॉम द सेकंड रो ऑफ BMW 3GL. आमतौर पर ये वाला हिस्सा स्टोरी में बाद में आता, लेकिन जब यूएसपी यही है तो फिर व्हाई नॉट स्टार्ट द स्टोरी विद दिस. और यहाँ पे सबसे पहली चीज जो मैं देख पा रहा हूँ उसमें कुछ बताने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. आई एम 6'3", बावजूद इसके लेग रूम, नी रूम आप देख सकते हैं कितनी ज्यादा मुझे यहाँ पर मिल रही है, यानी बहुत ज्यादा आरामदेह. आपको ये एक्स्ट्रा जो व्हील बेस है, एक्स्ट्रा जो इसका लेंथ है, वो आपको सेकेंड रो में देने वाला है काफी ज्यादा एक्स्ट्रा आराम स्पेस के हिसाब से. और
Uddhav Sena leader and MP Sanjay Raut alleges Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde's son has hired contract killers to murder him. Chief Minister Shinde assures thorough probe into the allegations leveled by Sanjay Raut. Rahul Gandhi will embark on a 10-day visit to England to deliver a lecture on geopolitics and international relations at the Cambridge University. The Cambridge University says Rahul will also hold closed-door sessions on big data and democracy and on India-China relations. While addressing the IT surveys on BBC, UK Minister David Rutledge says he stands for press freedom and wishes to communicate its importance to India.
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मोहुल, who is founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. But उसके अलावा कुछ और चीज़ें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं. So इस बाइक को लेकर थोड़ा टाइमलाइन, if you can explain किस तरह का टाइमलाइन रहने वाला है and कब इसका officially launch आप करने वाले हैं?
Definitely. So first thing is at the Auto Expo we have also showcased the 6 kilowatt version of the bike. So at launch we had a 5 kilowatt version. Now we also have a 6 kilowatt version of the bike. And in terms of timeline, in the next 30 days we will be giving out the spec variants and pricing to the larger market. We will be opening up bookings for the Matter motorbike this quarter, and deliveries summer में शुरू हो जाने वाली है.
शुरू हो जाएंगी. So एक चीज़ जो बहुत ही टेक्नोलॉजी का इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बाइक के बारे में, इसमें गियर है.
Yep.
इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक होने के साथ साथ इसमें वो आइस वाला आपने एसेंस और बहुत बड़ा एसेंस इसमें बचा के रखा है. सो वो कैसे आपने उस पर काम किया एंड हाउ डिड यू थॉट अबाउट दिस कि ये अगर हम इसमें इंक्लूड कर पाते हैं गियर शिफ्ट वाला पैटर्न, सो वो कैसे स्टार्ट हुआ?
So when we in 2019 when we were
Lawyer Ashwini Upadhyay files plea in Supreme Court, seeks a direction to the centre to constitute a renaming commission to restore the original names of ancient monuments. AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi takes on centre over the China issue, says the government has failed to restore the status quo which existed 3 years ago. Omar bats for no taxation, asks why should people in Jammu and Kashmir pay state taxes when they have no say in government and decision making. The West Bengal government tables bills seeking to empower the administration to attach and auction off the assets of people who damage public and private property. German Chancellor to arrive in India for a 2-day visit on Saturday. He is expected to hold multiple bilateral meets with Prime Minister Modi and External Affairs Minister Jaishankar.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे. अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स. ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा. Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है. जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है. जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा. इनसाइड द बॉक्स यू गेट दिस लिटिल पेपर बॉक्स एज वेल, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है. लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको. यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है. यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक. अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं. उफ, वेरी वाइब्रेंट एंड पेपी येलो कलर. Just like the box, the smartphone also boasts the combination of black, or call it dark grey, along with yellow. और कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग डिजाइन आपको फ्रेम्स पर भी दिखेगा। जो कलर आपको यहाँ कैमरा मॉड्यूल पर दिख रहा है, पीछे ये जो पैच पर दिख रहा है, वही आपको उसी कलर का फ्रेम दिखाई देगा विद येलो एक्सेंट्स। वेट की बात करें तो अच्छा है, लाइट वेट है, और यहाँ पे जो येलो है दिस इज लिटिल बिट डल, नॉट एज वाइब्रेंट एज द बॉक्स और प्रॉपर येलो। वैसे तो मैट फिनिशिंग है, लेकिन ये जो कलर है इसके अंदर हल्का सा ग्लिटर आपको दिखाई देता है। फ्लैशी नहीं है, अच्छा है। इसको साइड में रखते हैं, अभी ऑन भी करेंगे और उसके बाद स्मार्टफोन के बारे में बात करेंगे। पहले देखते हैं और क्या आपको बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई देगा। यू ऑल्सो गेट अ 67 वॉट चार्जिंग ब्रेक। I really liked how they have written 67 watt here. बहुत ही बढ़िया फॉन्ट लग रहा है, कुछ डिफरेंट देखने को मिला, वरना ज्यादातर यहाँ पर नॉर्मली लिख देते हैं 67 और 80। तो ये जो इसने हल्का सा छोटा सा अटेम्प्ट किया है विद द डिजाइन, आई रियली लाइक। साथ में आपको मिलता है टाइप सी केबल विद ऑरेंज एक्सेंट्स, जैसे कि आप यहाँ देख पा रहे होंगे। इसको भी साइड में रखते हैं एंड दैट्स इट, दैट्स ऑल यू गेट इनसाइड द बॉक्स। अब बात करते हैं स्मार्टफोन के बारे में, जरा मुझे इसे ऑन करने दीजिए। फोन को यहाँ पर सेटअप करना मैंने शुरू कर दिया है। जैसे कि आप देख पाएंगे दिस फोन रन्स ऑन MIUI 14। साथ इसको हम सेट करते रहेंगे और फोन के बारे में बात करते रहेंगे, बिकॉज यही तो सबसे ज्यादा बढ़िया पॉइंट होता है जब भी आप नया फोन सेटअप करते हैं, द फीलिंग ऑफ सेटिंग अप एंड शिफ्टिंग टू अ न्यू स्मार्टफोन। तो यहाँ पर इसको सेटअप कर रहे हैं। टिल द टाइम लेट मी टॉक अबाउट द डिस्प्ले। तो यहाँ पर आपको विद पोको X5 Pro मिलता है AMOLED डिस्प्ले विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ 120 Hz रिफ्रेश रेट। बेसिकली स्क्रोलिंग एनिमेशंस शुड बी स्मूदर, क्योंकि 120 Hz अब ज्यादातर फोन्स पे स्टैंडर्ड भी हो गया है। देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन 90 Hz यूज्ड टू बी द स्टैंडर्ड रिफ्रेश रेट, बट 120 अब ज्यादातर फोन्स पे आपको दिखाई देगा। इसके अलावा दिस डिस्प्ले इज प्रोटेक्टेड विद Corning Gorilla Glass 5, तो आपको इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि डिस्प्ले को कुछ हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। द फोन इज ऑल्सो ऑफरिंग IP53 रेटिंग to prevent all the dust as well as water splashes. यहाँ पर और जैसे कि डिस्प्ले पे आपको दिख रहा होगा बेजल्स आर प्रिटी थिन। इनफैक्ट यहाँ पर चारों साइड पे मुझे सेम बेजल्स दिखाई दे रहे हैं, मतलब मेजरमेंट उनका, और थिन भी लग रहा है। यहाँ पे वाइट बैकग्राउंड पे देखेंगे तो आई थिंक इसका जो व्यूइंग एक्सपीरियंस है दैट शुड एड टू इट बिकॉज ऑफ द थिन बेजल्स। और सामने आपको यहाँ पर दिख रहा होगा पंच होल कैमरा। दिस इज अ 16 मेगापिक्सल फ्रंट शूटर टू क्लिक ऑल द वाइब्रेंट सेल्फीज एज वेल एज मेक वीडियो ब्लॉग्स। कैमरास की यहाँ पे बात की है तो एक बार आपको पीछे वाले कैमरास के बारे में भी बता देते हैं। रेक्टेंगुलर कैमरा मॉड्यूल आपको यहाँ दिखाई देगा। इसको कॉम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए थोड़ा सा ब्लैक पैच यहाँ पे स्ट्रेच किया गया है। नाउ दिस कैमरा मॉड्यूल houses 3 cameras in total. The main camera is a 108 megapixel shooter. उसी के साथ आपको मिलता है अल्ट्रा वाइड लेंस एज वेल एज मैक्रो लेंस फॉर ऑल द मैक्रो फोटोग्राफर लवर्स। अब बात करते हैं थोड़ी सी डिजाइन की। रेयर पैनल के बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं। फ्रेम की बात करें तो राइट साइड पे आपको मिलता है वॉल्यूम रॉकर, उसी के नीचे येलो एक्सेंट में आपको मिलता है पावर बटन। दिस पावर बटन ऑल्सो एक्ट्स एज अ फिंगरप्रिंट स्कैनर। वो कितना फास्ट है ये आपको रिव्यू वीडियो में बताएंगे। बॉटम की बात करें तो आपको मिलता है सिम ट्रे, टाइप सी पोर्ट एंड स्पीकर। एवरीथिंग इज इन ब्लैक गाइस, सो आई डोंट नो कि वीडियो में कितना दिखाई दे रहा होगा। फ्रेम ब्लैक है और सारे के सारे जो पोर्ट्स हैं वो भी ब्लैक हैं, तो आई रियली होप आपको दिख रहा होगा। लेफ्ट साइड ऑफ द फ्रेम इज प्रीटी नीट। ओह माय गॉड, now this smartphone actually gets some brownie points क्योंकि on the top you also get a 3.5 mm headphone jack. So this smartphone is actually a mid-ranger और इस प्राइस पर आपको इतनी चीजें मिलना is actually a good thing. So basically the phone fetches brownie points for the 3.5 mm headphone jack. अब एक बार चलते हैं सेटिंग्स की ओर और देखते हैं कि फोन में और क्या क्या है। सेटिंग्स में हम आ चुके हैं, एक बार देखते हैं फोन के बारे में। जैसे कि हम बता चुके हैं, सॉफ्टवेयर की बात करें तो दिस फोन रन्स ऑन MIUI 14 बेस्ड ऑन Android 12। तो ये आपको मिलता है स्मार्टफोन के साथ। अब बैटरी की बात की जाए तो दिस स्मार्टफोन comes with 5000 mAh battery capacity, and like I showed you the adapter, this also supports 67 watt fast charging technology. जाते जाते एक और चीज बता दूं that this newly launched X5 Pro comes with the support of Dolby Vision as well as Dolby Atmos. स्टेरियो स्पीकर्स का सपोर्ट इसमें आपको मिलता है, तो गेमिंग एक्सपीरियंस और while watching content, this should actually be really good on this smartphone, but this will get to know in a full review video.
जैसे कि आप देख पा रहे हैं यहाँ पे ईयरबड्स के काफी सारे फीचर्स ऑलरेडी मेंशन्ड हैं। यू गेट ट्रांसलूसेंट जेली केस, 13.4 mm लार्ज ड्राइवर्स, एनको मास्टर साउंड इफेक्ट्स, AI डीप नॉइज कैंसिलेशन फॉर कॉल्स, लॉन्ग बैटरी लाइफ, बाइनॉरल लो लेटेंसी विद ब्लूटूथ 5.3 ट्रांसमिशन। तो ये सारी चीजें इसके बारे में हैं। थोड़ा सा इसका डिजाइन ऐसा लगने वाला है, अनबॉक्स करके पता चलेगा एग्जैक्टली कैसा दिखेगा। राइट साइड पे यहाँ पर कंपनी ने कुछ चीजें लिखी हुई हैं। अब निकालते हैं इस ईयरबड्स को डब्बे से बाहर। वो ओके, काफी स्लिपरी सा मुझे लगा बिकॉज ऑफ द प्लास्टिक कवर, बट ऐसा नहीं है। यहाँ पे अच्छी ग्रिप बन पा रही है, काफी लाइट वेट भी दिख रहा है। एंड एक्चुअली जैसे बॉक्स पे मेंशन था, दिस इज अ ट्रांसलूसेंट केस। मैंने तो फर्स्ट टाइम देखा है, लुक्स रियली नाइस। मजा सा आ रहा है इसको देखने में नॉट रियली, बट अच्छा लग रहा है। यहाँ पीछे की तरफ ओप्पो ने ब्रांडिंग अपने ओप्पो एनको की हुई है। बहुत छोटा सा यहाँ पर स्टिकर है, काफी प्यारा सा इसका लुक है। सामने ओप्पो लिखा हुआ है। अब इसको एक सेकेंड गाइस, काफी अलग सा शेप और डिजाइन है, अच्छा लग रहा है देखने में। और यहाँ पे आपको मिलता है कुछ ऐसा लुक विद द न्यू ओप्पो एनको एयर 3। दिस वन इज इन वाइट कलर ऑप्शन और काफी ही यहाँ पर अगर आप देखेंगे जैसे केस पर है ना नीचे ट्रांसलूसेंट इफेक्ट, यहाँ पे भी स्टॉक खत्म होने के बाद आपको हल्का सा प्लास्टिक क्रिस्टल टाइप इफेक्ट यहाँ पे दिख रहा है। काफी नया और मिनिमलिस्ट तो नहीं है बट डिस्टिंक्टिव है। आई रियली लाइक्ड इट, बहुत अच्छा सा लुक इसको दे रहा है, देखने में अच्छा लग रहा है। बट पर्सनली देखो गाइज, यहाँ पे ना आपको ठीक से ये डिजाइन दिखेगा, ये वाला। हाँ, सो व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग इज पर्सनली आई रियली प्रेफर द ईयरबड्स दैट कम विद कैनल ईयर टिप्स। मुझे वो ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल लगते हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि ये अनकंफर्टेबल होगा, ये भी अच्छा होगा। बाकी एक्चुअल में इसका यूसेज कैसा है वो चीजें हमको यूज करने के बाद पता चलेंगी। सो यू गाइज नीड टू स्टे ट्यून टू गैजेट टाइम्स। जैसे कि मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ, इसके फुल रिव्यू के लिए बॉक्स में आपको ये मैनुअल गाइड भी मिलता है, सेफ्टी गाइड या मैनुअल गाइड विच विल टेल यू अबाउट द प्रोडक्ट इवन मोर। सेटअप कैसे करना है आप इसके थ्रू देख सकते हैं। यहाँ पे जेस्चर्स मेंशन है कि कितनी बार टैप करने से क्या एक्टिवेट होगा, तो इसको एक बार पढ़ लीजिएगा। लेफ्ट साइड और राइट साइड के जेस्चर्स यहाँ पे मेंशन है। वॉल्यूम डाउन अप करने के लिए आपको क्या दबाना है वो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है। सो ये था इसका ओवरऑल लुक। ड्राइवर्स का साइज आपको बता चुके हैं 13.4 mm, काफी बड़ा साइज है, यूज करने के बाद पता चलेगा कि कैसा दिखने वाला है। सो या
For decision makers, for the opinionated, for the unsure, for dinner time debaters, from metro stations to living rooms.
We present the facts and help India make a judgment. From stories that shake the nation to opinions that shape them. I delve deep into the biggest news of the day and uncover every fact, every source and every statement through debate and discussion. Get a 360-degree perspective on every story and get a conclusive closure. Join me, Navika Kumar, on the Newshour at 9, only on Times Now.
$110 mm एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह। यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की। नमस्ते टाइम्स ड्राइव फैमिली, आई एम क्रांति संभव। वेलकम टू द फर्स्ट ड्राइव रिव्यू ऑफ BMW 3 सीरीज GL यानी ग्रैंड लिमोजीन, जो ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर 3 सीरीज से ज्यादा लंबी है व्हील बेस के हिसाब से। कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम का, ज्यादा स्पेस का, वो दावा पूरा हो पा रहा है या नहीं। सो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस कार, सबसे पहले टाइम्स ड्राइव के बारे में आपसे बात करता हूं या अपील करता हूं। अभी तक अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल को, और सोशल मीडिया पर बाकी जो भी हैंडल्स हैं वहां पर टाइम्स ड्राइव के नाम से आप सर्च करें, उसे भी फॉलो करें। लेटेस्ट खबरें आपको मिलेंगी और timesdrive.in है हमारा वेबसाइट, वहां पर तो लेटेस्ट खबरों के अलावा डिस्काउंट्स और जो स्पाई पिक्स हैं, आने वाली गाड़ियां हैं, उन सब के बारे में खबरें मिलेंगी। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस स्टोरी। हम बात करते हैं BMW 3GL की। क्रांति संभव रिपोर्टिंग फ्रॉम द सेकंड रो ऑफ BMW 3GL। आमतौर पर ये वाला हिस्सा स्टोरी में बाद में आता, लेकिन जब यूएसपी यही है तो फिर व्हाई नॉट स्टार्ट द स्टोरी विद दिस। और यहाँ पे सबसे पहली चीज जो मैं देख पा रहा हूँ उसमें कुछ बताने की जरूरत भी नहीं है। आई एम 6'3", बावजूद इसके लेग रूम, नी रूम आप देख सकते हैं कितनी ज्यादा मुझे यहाँ पर मिल रही है, यानी बहुत ज्यादा आरामदेह। आपको ये एक्स्ट्रा जो व्हील बेस है, एक्स्ट्रा जो इसका लेंथ है, वो आपको सेकेंड रो में देने वाला है, काफी ज्यादा एक्स्ट्रा आराम स्पेस के हिसाब से। और दूसरी चीज जो मुझे खास लग रही है, थाई सपोर्ट काफी।
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching News Now Overnight. As always, first let's get you up to speed with the top 50 stories. Aam Aadmi Party leader Shelly Oberoi gets elected as the mayor of Delhi, defeats BJP's Rekha Gupta by securing 150 votes. Rajya Sabha MP Raghav Chadha says AAP is the only party that can challenge the BJP in 2024 national elections. BJP congratulates Aam Aadmi Party for winning the Delhi mayoral polls, says the results would have been the same even if they were conducted earlier. Trouble mounts for Delhi Deputy Chief Minister as Ministry of Home Affairs gives nod to prosecute Manish Sisodia in Snoopgate case. Aam Aadmi Party takes on the BJP, says it is being targeted by the party using the agencies as it is scared of Aam Aadmi Party's clean and uncorrupt image. On the other hand, the BJP takes on the Aam Aadmi Party, says it used taxpayers' money to create extra constitutional private intel agency to do pull